10 council members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, this is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 14th day of April 1998. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phones. So the first order of business.
Invocations.
All right, members of the council, as this is the first meeting in this new council chamber, we have the honor of having Rabbi Alan Friedland, the University Synagogue, and we also have the auxiliary bishop Stephen Blair of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. We will have them both give an invocation today. And would everyone please stand?
Mr. President, when I was invited to be here today by Mike Fuhrer, I thought about a conversation that I had with a former colleague of yours a few years ago. I'd been asked to come before the City Council to offer an invocation, and I wondered then if we really believe in the separation of church and state, why you'd want to begin a meeting such as this one with a prayer offered by a spokesperson from one of Southern California's many faith communities. Zev Yaroslavsky explained a prayer offered by a priest, minister, or rabbi helps us to raise our sights beyond the mundane to loftier horizons. So it's with that explanation in mind that I join you and your colleagues this morning to help dedicate this new place where you'll meet to deliberate issues and make decisions that are of great importance to all of us who've elected you to be members of City Council. Please remember that we expect you to function not as politicians but as public servants. Within that context, let this room be the site where authentic civic leaders come together motivated not by political expediency, but stimulated by moral imperatives. Permit this room to be a gathering place where men and women who have been chosen by their peers to serve them respond not to the demands of special interests, but to what they discover to be the greater good. Allow this room to be a chamber where council members meet to not only deal with problems of the moment, but to envision what the future of this great city may be, and then act to make that vision come alive. If all of this and more comes to pass, then most certainly we will have every reason to celebrate what is accomplished in this room for many years to come. Thus, in the spirit of celebration and dedication, I say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'achiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Praise be thou, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who's given us life, sustained us, and permitted us to rejoice as we eagerly look ahead to what will be achieved by those who meet here to make difficult but correct decisions, and who, as a result of their words and their actions, determine the destiny of the city of Los Angeles.
Let us pray. Dear God, we invoke your blessing upon the City Council in its new home. Your will is that wherever leaders gather, they do so to promote the common good, which strengthens solidarity among all the people, young and old, rich and poor, urban and suburban, believer and non-believer, sick and well, troubled and secure. May our most noble goal reside in the dignity of each person. May our highest joy be in the celebration of life. May our most special concern be the neglected and rejected in our community. Que el Señor le traiga unidad a nuestra ciudad, paz a nuestros barrios, justicia a nuestros trabajadores. Ponemos nuestras comunidades bajo el cuidado de Nuestra Señora de los Ángeles. Amen.
Members of the council, as you can see, our quarters are not as big as the ones that the our old chamber, and so I'm going to ask that all those people not involved, not staff members or not Keith Comrie or Ron Deaton, to please move beyond the railing wall. So all of the people not involved, Mike Carey, of course, is the city clerk, which should be allowed. But we need to have some dignity here, and I don't think it has dignity with all these people. Now, we do have some people from the information technology that will help us with our new procedure. So would they raise their hand so if anybody wants to call on them that they, can you? Okay. I see that I've already made an impression. There's been no movement of anybody leaving the council chamber. So, Sergeant, will you do your duty, please? Okay. I'll let you figure that out. You're a council member. You should be. You know all. You have all knowledge. Before we do have one presentation today, but before that, I'd like to call on Ron Deaton and Mike Carey for a brief explanation of the new system, so we as council members and those in the public would understand.
Mr. President, members of the council, what you have is an entirely different new voting system. Behind you are two screens that replace the one voting tally board in the city council chambers, and in place of, in addition to the buttons that were for yes and no and request to speak, at each desk is a terminal which gives information to the council members relative to what item on the agenda is being discussed, and a history of the items that are that has been before the already acted upon by the council on the agenda, and the resultant vote there too. Basically, the system as it is right now provides a flexibility for the future that I think that is kind of exciting. In the monitors that are in the back of the room, the vote will be will be demonstrated to the individuals, and so they can see that up front and on the front screens as well. Also in the back, there will be a monitor that will be in the next day or so having the agenda rotate through so people can find out what has happened on each agenda item and which items haven't been discussed yet, so the information to the public will be much better. Also, in the case of the screens before you, if you push on the, although that's the scary thought, you can turn that off now. Well, have it on, go on this large screen. The point of this is a very scary situation. Maybe you should switch to Mr. Carey. But the important thing is that the people can see in the audience exactly the people who are talking. Also, this in the future allows for remote locations and teleconferencing, which individuals from the citizens in different parts of the city can testify before the council at remote sites in the valley, in San Pedro and West LA, and et cetera, and not have to come all the way down here. That's a future situation. But the point that I'm trying to make on the whole system is its flexibility in providing information not only to the city council as they do their deliberations, but provide flexibility for the public to see what's going on, see the results of what's happening in the room, and also be able to participate from remote sites.
Very briefly, for the members, when in doubt, use the buttons that you are used to if you're uncomfortable with the screen. As in the old chambers, this defaults to a yes vote. So if you are in the chambers, you will be voting yes unless you take an affirmative action to vote no. On behalf of my staff, this is obviously new to us as well. It may take us a couple of meetings, several meetings, to get used to the new system, so we apologize, but we will try to keep up if you'll just give us a little time to make some of the adjustments on the screen. I think you'll find you'll have a lot more information, and more importantly, the public will have a lot more information about where we are in this meeting and what we have voted on and what we have remaining to be voted on. Critical thing for the public is when they walk into this room, they will be able to tell what item the council is voting on and what has previously been voted on, or what is remaining, what the council members have called special, to be discussed at a later date. And we have a number of staff people here to help you through this first couple of meetings, and please do not hesitate to call on us.
One last thing, the work in this room and in the move has been the result of a lot of diligent effort by members of the ITA staff and the General Services staff. And in this room, the voting system and how it operates, the city clerk's office has been remarkable in their ability to try to make this thing work, and we'll see how well it works now.
Thank you, Mr. Deaton and Mr. Carey. I want to point out that our city attorney is also here today to make sure that things go properly. I hope he has the ability to make it go correctly. Okay, the first order of business. Mr. Wax for a presentation.
Mr. President, members of the council, as we begin our first meeting in our new council chambers, it really seemed appropriate that we might pay tribute to someone whose reporting has been such an incredibly important part of the business that we have conducted in our historic chambers. Through 10,000 stories, Charlie Surges has literally delineated the life and breadth of the city of Los Angeles. He has been an enormously important figure, not only in these council chambers, but in reaching out and telling the story of City Hall to all of the people in this great city. Charlie, to me, is really the consummate reporter, the conscientious, consummate reporter who's never gone for the cheap story, but always goes for the real news. His is a voice now that is known to everyone who has lived and grown up in Southern California. It's a magnificent voice, and it's a voice that has always been accompanied by a very innate and keen news sense, by an incredibly measured and resourceful and responsible manner. And I think that all of us who've known him here would join with me in saying that he has been the epitome of decency. And at a time when the media has sometimes come under criticism for the quality of its reporting, I think Charlie Surges puts his best foot forward for the industry. He has set a standard that I think all of the people who cover the news in City Hall and elsewhere can emulate. He has made us do our job better, and he has made city government more meaningful to the people of the city. Mr. President, I think it's particularly important as Charlie retires after XYZ number of years of service to the city of Los Angeles, and to that we recognize him today and pay tribute for his remarkable achievements. I think that it is fair to say that he has really upheld the most noble and important tenets of the journalism profession. He has enriched this city, and it seemed appropriate that we wish him the sweetest and most wonderful and deserved of retirements. He is here today, and he's going to introduce some of his family members, but I thought that it would be appropriate that we hereby designate this day, April 14th, 1998, our first meeting in this new chamber, as Charlie Surges Day in the city of Los Angeles. I think some of my colleagues might
Mr.
like to
Wax,
say-
before we let Charlie speak, let me say that I've been around here a long time, and Charlie has been a great individual for the press. I can't say enough about how fair he has been, which we can't say about a lot of reporters, but that's another story. But Charlie, we're going to miss you, and we wish you the best. Mr. Bernstein, you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. I go way back with Charlie long before I was on the council when I was active in community affairs for a number of years, and Charlie was always out there in the community. And I'll say this, Charlie always told a fair story. He was never venomous. He reported the news. And he treated you in the way that you would like, any individual would like to be treated. There were times when criticism was due or whatever. It was fair. It was given if it was fair. But I have the greatest respect for Charlie. I think if everybody in the media were as Charlie Surges, I think that we probably would have a better world to live in. But Charlie, I want to tell you, I not only as a member of the media, but I always had a feeling that you were a friend. And I want to wish you the best. And whatever you do, I wish you happiness. And we're going to miss you around here.
Members of the council, you'll have to stand on, and we'll start with Mike Hernandez, because unless there's an item on the board, we
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, so we'll have to correct that. This is one of the little tricks we have to correct, Mr. Hernandez. Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, I figured that out already, and that's why I stood, but I thought my colleagues should know the President just gained a little bit more power over us. I wanted to share, from my perspective, when you're dealing with the media, there's always the impact of that statement you make and how it's perceived by the public. And you need to understand that I can honestly say with Charlie Surges, I always felt very comfortable talking to him. And it was because he was going to give a very objective side, and he was going to, basically, the tone of his voice was going to be one that made whatever I said make sense. But a story I got to let him know about, I'm not sure he's aware of, is one day I was walking City Hall, and he came up to me, and we had this terrific storm going on outside. And I mentioned to him that I had cans in my washroom, and the reality is my roof was leaking. My wife just did not appreciate everybody knowing that when I got home. And she said, KFWB is talking about our washroom. And the reality was, Charlie did mention to people that everybody was having hardship, including the councilman of the 1st District, because of those storms. And,
I want to remind everybody that we have a long agenda today, and let's just talk about Charlie and not about our washroom.
I thank you, but again, Mr. President, you got that little bit more power. Now you're beginning to use it even more. My comments are meant to be complimentary, and I wanted to thank Charlie for his fairness and the reality that he did cover us from a human perspective also. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Holden.
My roof is leaking, Charlie. I just want to say that really, I hate to see you go. You kind of balance the scales here at City Hall. Being a good reporter, reporting just the facts, never at any time changing the story. That's important. Sometimes we do find that happens, but not ever with you, Charlie. You've been a credit not only to your profession, but to this community. We just hate to see you go. Sometimes we get a little upset and we talk about the revolution coming, and that the head's going to roll would be the media, the Fifth Estate, but you would not have been included in that group at all, Charlie, even though I might have been out there doing some of that. But I want you to know that not only do I consider you a good reporter, but a dear friend, a good person, and once again, a credit to the profession and your industry. We're going to miss you.
Ms. Misakowski.
I cut when I see this. When I talk about you, John, I'm going to cut.
You said enough, Nate.
I just wanted to mention that in addition to what my colleagues are talking about, which is fairness and impartiality, there's a very special quality that Charlie has. And Charlie, I think it may violate a basic tenet of journalism, because what comes through in all of your reporting is that you care. You are personally involved and truly care about the story that you're writing and speaking about, and I think that comes through. And I think that's what's made you so special as a journalist in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, Mr. Sturgis, we rise simply to wish you well and that which you will do after what has to be noted as a commendable and in some ways stellar career in journalism. We just simply hope that the balance of the time you spend doing the things that you obviously have loved to do will be as fruitful and rewarding as your time spent as a professional journalist here in the city. We thank you for your work.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, it doesn't seem like 4.5 years have gone by since there were 4 new council members arriving here in the summer of 1993. And the one thing that I have learned in 4.5 years is that in working with Charlie, you were not only working with a very capable journalist, you were also working with a perfect gentleman. And Charlie, you deserve a very happy retirement, and thank you for your fairness and your really can-do spirit in trying to get the news across while presenting it in the most fair way that anyone could imagine. Congratulations, friend.
Mrs. Walters.
See Charlie from here. There. Thank you. I, too, wanted to just add a word and thank you for all the late nights that you spent at the school board reporting on what was going on there. For many years, all the years that I was there, and it was good to see you here again in the city, and I wish you the very best in your retirement, that now you get to do all those things that you never had time to do before.
Mr. Alarcon.
Charlie, your voice is part of Los Angeles, and the only thing that I want to say is that in everything that you did, in every casual conversation as well as on the record conversations, you always exhibited a real affection and love for Los Angeles. And I think more than anything else, I hope that as you move on to other things that you'll give back and be free to the constraints of your media responsibilities and help others to learn about that same passion for Los Angeles so that we can spread the news.
Yes, we've heard about your fairness and your integrity, but I want to thank you for the fact that you actually were interested in what you were covering, and you also took the time to understand it, and that's something that was very special to me. Thank you.
Mr. Fuhr.
Charlie, by this point in the conversation, things have been said. I just want to ask, why are you leaving us, Charlie? Why are you leaving us? You've been terrific for all of us. Have a marvelous retirement, and knowing you, it's not going to be spent just hanging around. A lot of wonderful things are going to take place. Good luck on your future life.
Ms. Galander.
Do your feet hurt yet, standing there listening to all this? All I really want to add to that is I'm really going to miss you, and I hope you have a wonderful retirement, and I hope you'll come by and giggle at us occasionally.
Ms. Goldberg.
Yes, I just want to echo what Rita Walters said. Of course, my memories are mostly from the school board days and the amount of energy and time you put into that. I would say the other thing I will miss, besides all of the things my colleagues have said, and I will miss this greatly, is that you know what you're talking about. You know, unfortunately, reporters are changing so rapidly that frequently they come and you have to start from scratch. We never had that with you. In fact, frequently I was asking you for information and commenting after you told me what the information was. That's a rare thing today in journalism of any type, because they just move people around so quickly they hardly get a chance to learn the beat. And I will miss your background and your knowledge. I won't miss the tough questions that came from them, but I will miss the background and knowledge. And I wish you a lot of luck in your retirement. Have a good time. You've certainly earned it, and I've certainly enjoyed our encounters together over these last 15 years.
Charlie, as you can see, this is from all of my colleagues and from a very, very grateful city. A heartfelt thank you and sincerest best wishes. It's my honor to present it to you at this time.
He really always came with information. I'm talking about even the school district days when there were so many really complicated things going on.
Okay, Charlie, it's your turn.
I'll tell you, if there was ever a time I was going to be speechless in my career, it would be right now, but I'd better not be, I guess. First of all, I want to say I was afraid that Mark Ridley Thomas was going to move the previous question before I heard all the other nice speeches. Thank you for not doing that, Mark. Mr. President, I know you like to tease Councilman Holden sometimes, but I want you to know, as a nostalgic person that I am, I'm going to miss his speeches and news conferences, and I hope you'll send me a tape of them sometime. And thank you all for the nice words, and especially the things you said about how I went about my work. Thanks for all the stories and the fun and excitement over the years. And to Mr. Alarcon, yeah, there is, I think every citizen needs to keep giving to Los Angeles, whether you're retired or not retired. And down the road somewhere, I'll be dabbling in something, I hope, that's of help to my fellow man. I don't know exactly what yet, but I will. And I've only lived in this city, my family and I, for 27 years, but you're right, I do love this city. It is home and has long been home, which is saying something for someone who grew up on the streets of New York City. Mr. President, I'm not going to go down memory lane because I know you'd have Ron and Herman throw me out of here for taking too much time. But you were here when I first came here. Joel was here. As for the others, though, although I certainly have great memories of all our work together, I think some of you may not even know the names of some of the councilmen if I were to start naming them, like Louis Noel and Don Lorenzen and Bob Stevenson and others. And there was a gentleman named Tom Bradley on the council at that time, too. Just a councilman, but I got to know him better after that. And John, a word for you. I heard that you sort of defined me as that you've never had any trouble with me except that I'm a Greek and I work for KFWB as a newsman. The latter we can't do anything about. And I know that you really love Greeks, and that leads me to mention a great time, and I think both our careers. We were in Athens together in 1978, as you recall, to bring home the Olympics for Los Angeles, and that was a wonderful time for you, I know, and for me as a reporter. That was a great time. I don't think you know that earlier that year I was in Mexico City with my good friend Rick Orloff of the Daily News at the preliminary meetings, and we did all the hard work there and greased the skids so the city could get the Olympics later on. Because you were doing something, all of you that were here then, that was very unusual. Trying to get the IOC to give the city the games, plus a guarantee that the city wouldn't have to spend 1 red cent to put anything on, and you did it. And of all the stories I've covered, I was thinking about one I would like to mention, and I think it would be the 1984 Olympics. Not only because I covered that for 7 or 8 years, and it was just a fantastic story, the Soviet boycott, the politics, the infighting, the athletics, everything. But I know you've heard this before. It's almost become a cliche, but it's true that this city experienced maybe its best 2 weeks of peace and harmony and friendship during the Olympics. The crime disappeared, traffic disappeared, which was a real miracle. But the most important thing was that Angelenos really felt harmonious and friendly and peaceful. And as I leave, that's what I'd like to wish for the city in the future, that kind of thing returning, not just for a couple of weeks for the Olympics, but permanently, because this then would be one of the greatest cities in the world. It's a great city now, but it's going to be even better. One last thing, I did always try not to be a Chamber of Commerce booster, because I don't think that's what a journalist's job is, but to report the positive as well as the negative, because the positive is just as much a part of the news as the negative, and it gives us hope for the future. As for me, one thing I've learned in 1 or 2 weeks of retirement is that almost everyone asks you, well, what are you going to do now? And I thought that you retired in order not to do anything. And that's what I'm going to start off doing, but I will be doing something useful down the road, I hope. And one thing I will do immediately is try to coax Ron Butcher out onto the golf course, because I desperately need someone I can beat, and Ron said he's the guy. I'd like to close just by introducing my family. My wife, Pilar, and you can stand up. Part of the family, my daughter, Laura. She's Dr. Laura Surges. She's the real Dr. Laura, a pediatrician at Children's Hospital in Hollywood, in Jackie's district. Son Charles is in law school in Seattle as we speak and can't be here, of course. And Alicia's working hard at a law firm in Century City that wouldn't let her off today, I guess, or whatever. You know, they're very busy. But all my family, those who are here and aren't, are... Oh, and my ex-boss, let me acknowledge Chris Quimby, news director of KFWB, who came here today. The whole family here in the East are aware of this wonderful morning and this great honor you've given me, and they join with me in thanking you very sincerely. God bless you and good luck.
Charlie, thank you. Members, let's recess for a minute and be able to have a picture with Charlie and...
Test, test. Test. Check, check, check. Test, test. Test, test, test. Check, check, check. Test. Check, check, check. Test, test, test. Check, check. Test, test. Check, check. Test. Test, 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 test. Test, test. Check, check, check. Test, test, test. Check, check, test, 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 check, test.
Council will come to order. Again, all the people that are not staff members or not Ron Deaton or Mike Carey or Keith Comrie, please leave the sides of the council chamber behind the council members. Sergeant, you better find out who belongs there and who doesn't and move them out, because we want to. Well, it's good to have you here. It's so rare. Okay, the next order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Savornich, who belongs here, and Mrs. Mistakowski, second. There's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
There's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Items 1 through 6 are items noticed for public hearing.
All right, we have cards on number 4. We'll call that special. Item number 5, there's a motion to continue until May 13th. Is there any objections to that? Seeing none, that'll be the order. Anybody want to be heard on 1, 2, 3, or 6 in the audience? We do not have cards. Seeing none, the public hearing's closed on those items. Any specials by council members other than item number 4?
Mr. President, with regard to number 6, I want to urge denial, but I want to put in the record on number 6, very briefly, that the appellant no longer wishes to pursue that appeal based on revisions that have been made to the project by the applicant. And as a result, the denial is appropriate, but I wanted the record to reflect that the applicant itself had withdrawn the appeal.
Well, then we should deny or
Deny the appeal and confirm the assessment.
Okay.
Correct.
So we'll do the, item number 6 is to deny the appeal and to confirm the assessment.
Adopt the committee report.
Adopt the committee report. So we'll vote, then we have 1, 2, 3, and 6. Prepare the roll on those. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. We have 5 has been continued and 4 is called special. All right, the next item.
Items 7 through 14 and 38 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Item number 7 will...
Continue for 1 day, please.
If there's no objection, we'll continue in item number 7 for 1 day. Are there any specials by council members?
13.
12 and 14.
14, we have a request to continue that until the 22nd of April. Is there
I'd
any-
like to be recorded as a no vote on 9, but I
Well,
don't want to
let's-
talk
let's,
about it.
Let's wait a while. There's no objections. 14 is will be continued until the 22nd.
The 12 special, Mr. President?
12 is called special. 9 is called special. Well, we have to call it special. We can't do it. Ms. Galanter?
On number 13, I don't really need to discuss it, but I want to vote no on both of those. So can we separate it out for the vote, or?
Yes. Yeah. No, huh? 13 is called special. What do we have left? We have 8.
7 is the mayor's veto message that was continued, right?
Yes.
1 day.
8, 10, and 11. Prepare the roll on those. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, number, now we have number 9. Number 9, Ms. Goldberg, you want to vote no, so prepare the roll on number 9. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Let the record show that Ms. Goldberg voted no on number 9.
Mr. President,
Mr. Holden?
that's the one dealing with Southwestern School of Law. Thank you. Number 9, oh, you all vote no. You know, I don't care. They just put you in jail later on.
There's only one no vote, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Holden. And, okay.
At the bottom, can you see your list of items called special?
No. No, 7 has been taken care of. We continue to one day. 9 has been taken care of. So we have 12, 13, and 14 has been taken care of. Well, they're still on there. Okay, the next items.
The next group, Mr. President, items 15 through 36 are items for which public hearings have not been held.
Okay, let me just see. We have cards on 15, 20, 27, 33, 31, 33, and 35. Wait a minute. Wait, please. Okay. All right, we have cards on 15, 20, 27, 31, and 33, and 35. We'll call those special. Anybody want to be heard on any of the other items?
Mr. President.
Wait, Mr. Holden, I want to see about the public hearing first.
Oh,
please. I know this is modern technology, Nate, and you got to move with it. You're a space engineer, but not a... Okay. Anybody want to be heard on any of the other items that have not been called special? If not, the public hearing's closed on those. Any special by council members?
29 and 34.
I'd like to move...
29 and 34, Mrs. Walters?
I'd like to move...
Mrs. Walters?
Oh, I'm sorry.
27, 90 days. Is there any objections to continue in 27, 90 days? Seeing none, that'll be the order. So that was no longer special. Ms. Goldberg?
On items 21 through 26, I'd like to move the Personnel Committee.
Okay.
The Personnel Committee recommendation on items 21 through 26.
Which differs from Budget and Finance in what respect, Ms. Goldberg?
Actually, you have no recommendation on the others.
Oh, I think that may have emerged because we had one-to-one.
Okay, but on 22, I think they're both, okay. What do we have left? We have,
Oh, I'm sorry, 22 is concurred, but 21, 23 through 26, I'm moving personnel.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes, on 21, the Budget and Finance Committee said that the position should be included in the 98-99 budget. It was determined in the Budget and Finance Committee that this position could not be filled before July 1. And so I would move the Budget and Finance Committee, which recommends that it should be in the 98-99 budget.
I'll withdraw my motion on 21. I didn't know that happened subsequently. Thank you.
We have a card on 21 now, so...
okay.
What do you want to do with it? You want to move it?
Move the Budget and Finance report.
Okay, we'll call it special.
All right, and then 22, Budget and Finance concurred with Personnel Committee recommendation.
We have that.
All right. And then 23, it was a no vote on my part in Budget and Finance. Mr. Fuhr voted yes. So Mr. Fuhr's vote would concur with the CAO and the personnel. Number 24, again, Mr. Fuhr voted yes. I voted no. And it was a recommendation of the CAO to exempt one time only the unfreezing of one position for cultural affairs. 25 was a similar situation. Mr. Fuhr agreeing with the recommendation of the CAO on this to exempt one time only from the council-imposed hiring freeze. 26, again, my vote was no. Mr. Fuhr voted yes and would concur with personnel.
Okay.
27 is continued 90 days. So that should take care of
Okay.
that series. Thank you.
I hope so. I think we'll vote on each one individually, so all right, we have, 15 has been called special. 16, prepare the roll on 16. Tabulate the vote.
It's wrong. 14 ayes.
That is approved. The 17, 18, 19. There's no problems on that, so prepare the roll on those three.
See, we can't
17,
force
18,
it
and
to
19.
move. We can't do that.
Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Those are approved. 20 is called special, 21 is called special. 22, we can vote on, prepare the roll on 22. Tabulate the vote. Those are approved. Now, item 23, 24, 25, and 26, Mrs. Walters wants to be recorded as a no vote, so prepare the roll on.
And this is adoption of the communication from Personnel Chair, as moved by
Yes.
Councilmember Goldberg.
Yes. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes, 1 no.
Those are approved. Now, where are we now?
28,
No, 20.
30, 32, and 36.
What about 27? Did we do that?
27 was continued
Okay, no,
90
sorry.
days.
28, 20,
28, 30, 32, and 36.
and what about 38?
Oh, and
So, well, this is
38.
pre-
Well,
prepare
38
the
was
roll
on a previous roll call.
On item 38, we do have to have a public hearing. It was
Okay,
waived
well-
from committee.
We'll call that special. Prepare the roll on the ones we mentioned. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
We don't have any cards. Okay. Okay. Okay, it's called special. Okay, what, you got all the specials?
Item 4 called special, Mr. President. It was a hearing item.
Item number 4 is before us, and we have people that want to be heard. We have Jim Childs and Thomas Florio.
Good morning. My name is Jim Childs, 2341 Scarf Street. I'm here on behalf of the Save the Chester Place Coalition. I would like at this time to hand in for the administrative record, the testimony of last week's Plums Commission. I would also like to put forward the Save Chester Place Coalition's response. And in addition, I have copies for each one of you from our attorneys. If you haven't read those before, that's it. Thank you. Oh, here, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Sergeant. You got that?
Yeah, he's got it.
Anything else
Thank
you want to say?
Yes. This is an active court case, as you're aware. This is involving the recirculation of an environmental document that covers the Mount St. Mary's College campus plan of expansion. The Plum Subcommittee is asking you to adopt G. I am here today to ask you to not do that, but to adopt a modified G. CEQA demands that the city is obligated to adopt an environmentally superior alternative. Modified G gives you that opportunity. The overriding considerations are achievable in a modified G as they would be in the G as proposed. The SEER that is your document, your environmental document by your planning department, defines that there are ways to impact on the historic setting, G. It is those modifications that I am here to urge you to do today. Your decision today will go back to court. And I'm going to give you your first quotation in your first building, and it's from Orlando Batista, who said, a mistake does not become an error until you refuse to correct it. And you did error, as Judge Wayne of the Superior Court pointed out to you in her writ, and I ask you not to continue that error and make a mistake. That choice obviously is yours, but you are public servants, as the rabbi pointed out, and I hope you aren't politicians on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Florio.
Yes, good morning, Mr. President, council members. My name is Thomas Florio. I live at 2340 Portland Street. I'm also here to speak against the proposition before you. I want to state that this is a wonderful project in objectives and goals. Its educational objectives are admirable to everyone in the community. However, this is not a compromise before you. This is what the developers and the City Council has decided between yourselves what the answers are. It had nothing to do with the litigants in this project. There is no compromise here, and there never has been. I want to point out a very important issue, and that is that the court order asks that the City Council consider the changes of structure in the building. Your subcommittee failed to do that. Your chairman ruled that the only thing that was at issue was the colonnades and plaza. This is a grave error. It needs to be discussed. The changes of the structure of the building also had significant environmental impacts. This is a residential lot with qualifying conditions. These conditions have not been met by this project. Finally, there is also a statement of overriding considerations in front of you, and it is the position of the college that the weakening of the objectives would be made by a separation between a learning center and a library. If this is the case, I suggest that you look at every city university. I only have 30 seconds left, 10 seconds left. Look at every college that you have on campus, because if students cannot find their way across the street, then they need more education than just a learning center. And I don't think that that is the case, and I think it is an insult to the students to suggest that they cannot find their way across the street, because I too am a student that had those kind of education.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You were able to find your way to the council chamber, so you must.
Yes, I did.
Okay, Sister Kathleen Kelly, and then Bing Cherry.
Thank you and good morning. Mount St. Mary's College requests approval of the supplemental environmental impact report and reapproval of Alternative G. I have had distributed letters summarizing the rationale for this and also summarizing our architect's design. As you know, this is a compromise position, and as directed by the last Plum Committee and with the assistance of 2 members of the LA Conservancy, we came up with an alternative that we felt addressed the articulated concerns of a group. There is no blocking off of 23rd Street in this project. There is no relocation or moving of any buildings. The mass of the new buildings was distributed, and the streetscape down the middle of Chester Place was retained. We have received letters of support from other educators who cite specific support for this project. Just to quote one, Father Thomas O'Malley, president of the Loyola Marymount University campus, states, "We have very much more open space than does the Doheny campus, but we have also considered an integral part of our new library to be a courtyard." The letter distributed that summarizes the design from our architects states, The facility's programmatic elements and the buildings which house them were always conceived as a complex centered around a courtyard. It is in every sense the heart of the design and central to providing focus to the campus experience. The college respectfully requests that the council approve the supplemental EIR as a full and adequate discussion of Alternative G, recognizing the benefits which will flow to the college, its students, and the community from this project as previously approved. As we ask the Plum Committee, we request that the council reject further compromise, alteration, or modification of this project. We believe that the project balances college needs and the historical context. Thank you.
Bing Cherry and then Lillian Mareko.
Good morning, council members. I'm Bing Cherry, Executive Director of Planning for USC. The university endorses the supplemental environmental impact report and Alternative G of the proposed Mount St. Mary's Improvement Project. As a next-door neighbor to Mount St. Mary's Doheny campus, we are supportive of the efforts to improve their campus, and in so doing, improving a better learning environment for their students. The proposed courtyard and redesign of a former street is similar to the establishment of malls and gardens in former streets of nearby USC. The Mount St. Mary's improvements can only increase the value of this wonderful college to the city of Los Angeles. We urge your final approval of the supplemental EIR and approval of the project.
Lillian and Maria Veronica Martinez.
Good morning, Mr. President, council members. My name is Lilian Marenco. I represent a large group of the Hispanic community and other black clubs. I live in that community for more than 20 years, and I know the needs that we have for a library. The people that have children in there will benefit greatly if this library is built. Not only that, it's going to help in different ways to our communities. So I think what other people have been coming here talk about the greatest thing is going to bring the community, but what I want to tell you is the children that live in our community that are desperately in need of libraries, something that we don't have in there. We don't have the choice to go, and most of these people work and all day, and they deserve to have something with access and great environment. It represents something more than a beautiful place to go. It's a peaceful place, and it's going to be like an encouragement for these children to keep going on, and good example in this college. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Veronica Martinez, and I'm the Associate Student Body President at Mount St. Mary's College. At this time, I would like for everyone who's here to represent Mount St. Mary's to please stand and stand with me as I speak on their behalf. On behalf of the Mount St. Mary's College students, I would like to deeply give thanks to all of the City Council members for all your support throughout the several years we have been trying to build and open the Sister Magdalene Coughlin Learning Complex. We are prayerful today as we stand before you that you will continue to support our efforts to open these desperately needed facilities so that we can continue our academic and career goals. This will allow us to provide ourselves with the best opportunity to enhance our college, our education, our lives, and therefore our community. Most importantly, this will allow us to face the new century because, after all, we are the future. After this 5-year-long struggle, we are hopeful that you will hear this item and vote today. Our open celebration is scheduled for April 23rd. Thank you very much.
Lillian Sachs and then Marilyn Smart, and we'd ask you not to repeat to. Okay, then Paul Nagashima.
I'm Lisa Sachs, the project manager, and I defer at this time. If there are questions, I'm available.
Thank you. Marilyn Smart?
I'm also willing to defer in the interest of time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Paul Nagashima?
Mr. President, I'd like to also defer at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. William Everhart?
I will also defer unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you. I think that closes the public hearing. Could we have a report from the staff? Frank?
Member of the Planning Department staff. This matter was previously approved by this City Council and by the Planning Commission. What had happened on this was the Planning Commission had approved a document which included an EIR. It was transmitted to the Planning and Land Use Management Committee where a compromise was worked out. It was subsequently approved by the City Council and heard by the Council on 2 occasions. The matter was then taken to court by opponents of the project. The EIR was found to be inadequate in some aspects, and a subsequent EIR was requested to be performed by the court. That has been done. In the meantime, the court did allow the construction of the 2 structures, and which remains at question and at issue is the area around the plaza, around the street, the colonnades, and the landscaping. The City Planning Department has completed the supplemental EIR, attested to its adequacy. The matter was taken before the Planning and Land Use Management Committee, which reaffirmed the previous council action, Alternative G, and which is now before you. What we have is a 55,400 Learning Resource Center, which consists of 3 mutually related buildings oriented around a central courtyard. The project adds a 2-story, 24,300 square foot library, a 1-story, 10,300 square foot learning resource facility, and a 2-story, 19,500 classroom buildings. We are here to answer any questions. That's all I have to present at this time.
Okay. Mr. Hernandez?
Mr. President, members of the council, I know there's some confusion because there's 2 reports, a minority and a majority report, and I represent the minority report. I wish I was standing before you to say that the compromise was a win-win situation. The reality of the compromise is a win-lose situation, depending on how you look at it. But it is a compromise, and I do want to thank both parties for working on it. The reality is Chester Place as a street will now end on 23rd. And some people would say it ended on 23rd beforehand, but it used to go through Mount St. Mary's College. As part of the compromise, initially they were going to put a building over Chester Place, and what happened is they basically are putting 2 buildings and using the street as the courtyard. That gives you a more accurate description. From the perspective of the residents who live in Council District 1 and have been fighting to preserve some of the historic structures and the historic nature of that neighborhood, that for them, the elimination of the street is not acceptable. From the perspective of the college, the reality is the creation of this courtyard joining these 2 buildings is a vision that they believe would be more conducive to education. Now, I'm kind of giving you the perspective because I cannot vote for the elimination of Chester Place as a street. It's part of my district, and if you were to looking down the street, it would continue as part of Mount St. Mary's. The reality is, it's a question of what you feel more comfortable doing. It's not a win-win situation for the city, but from my perspective, I understand both sides of the issue. I just cannot support the recommendation before us at this time.
Chairman of the committee, the distinguished member from the 12th District, Mr. Bernson.
That way, I might vote for you next time, John. I've had a change of heart. Members of the committee, members of the council, this is an item that was approved by the council before. It was with some controversy. I don't agree with the judge, but nonetheless, she is the judge, and we are trying to satisfy the requirements of an additional addendum to the EIR, which we did, and the majority of the committee approved it. This provides for access for the community. It also improves the street with walkways and so forth. It does not visually or otherwise obstruct the street. We recognize the fact that this is a historical neighborhood, and the committee tried their best, and I know Mr. Hernandez worked very hard to try to, as well as Mr. Ridley Thomas, to try to effect a compromise for everybody. The school has agreed to do certain things, and I think we're ready to move forward. Everybody is a little unhappy, but that's usually a good compromise, and I think this permits the college to go ahead with a library and the community to have access, and I would urge, I'm going to move the majority report. Thank you.
Nobody else was here.
All right. Is there any further discussion on this? All right, Mr. Ridley Thomas, you have the floor.
Mr. President, members of the council, I rise to support the majority report and to acknowledge the work that has been done by the city staff, as well as the hard work that has gone on in the community, largely by those associated with the Mount St. Mary's College. We see this as an effort to improve the quality of life in our city, and particularly for those who are students and those who will benefit in the surrounding community. Obviously, this has been an issue of considerable concern to quite a number of people. Compromises have been reached. We're pleased about that. The majority report effectively sends forth those compromises. The city attorney's office has been involved and looked at this with great care. This essentially puts us back on a record, members of the council, to reinforce with more strength the position that was taken early on to move this important project forward, to build a learning center at the Mount St. Mary's College. The issue of accreditation is one that is in question, but more importantly, this is good land use policy from our perspective, and to the extent that that is the case, it's fully defensible, and I urge your aye vote for the majority report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. Mrs. Mistakowski.
Rise to clarify some of the issues that were made by some of the speakers. Although this is and was a compromise, I think what's important is that the Chester Place is not going to be eliminated. The view down Chester Place, the corridor, is going to remain. In fact, the historic street lights are going to be placed back along Chester Place. Both the palm trees and the Washington palms and the other that were historically there are going to be replaced. So you're going to look from 23rd Street down Chester Place and see a street-like environment. It's going to be an enhanced street-like environment with more of a plaza look to it, with colonnades, not crossing the street, but delineating the street. And I think that overall, it's an enhanced vegetative and landscape plan that is going to enhance the entire neighborhood. But the street view corridor is also going to remain.
Anyone else want to be heard? If not, we have item number 4 before us. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
All right, let the record show that Mr. Hernandez voted no. Let the record show Mr. Hernandez voted no, and thank you for coming today. And if you leave the council chamber, please leave as quietly as possible, because we have other things. Members of the council.
Forthwith to the mayor, please.
Forthwith on that item.
Thank you, sir.
Members of the council, some members have asked about the mayor's State of the City speech tomorrow, which was going to be in Woodland Hills Park. It has been changed to Taft High School because they are expecting some rain. It's on Winnetka Avenue, 5461 Woodland Hills. I plan on attending, so the chances are the council starting at not 10 o'clock, which it never does, will be a little later. So all of those who plan on attending, after the speech is over, I'm told that it should end at 9:30. Then we'll rush back to the city council chambers to have our meeting. So if you need the address, check with my office or check with check with Laura Chick. She should know. The next item, CD11. Check with Miss. Next item.
Item 12, called special by Councilmember Fuhr.
Mr. Fuhr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I called this special because I wanted to move the Budget and Finance report. The question before us is, should we try to contend with the problem of illegal signs that are posted throughout our city and create such a blight? The Budget and Finance report simply instructs the CLA and the CAO to prepare a report on a pilot project for illegal sign removal in the city, and bring that report, which would contemplate testing a new model in 3 areas of the city, into the ad hoc budget committee process so we can determine whether it's a sufficient priority or not to fund this year. And so I would move that report to keep alive the possibility that we can pursue the problem of visual blight created by illegal signage in this city.
Okay. Mrs. Walters?
Thank you, Mr. President. The reports that we had heretofore on this were that just to implement a program would cost, the cost of the program would be $405,233 and would require 9 positions. And obviously, there's not that kind of money, and that also in the face of legal advice that this may not be legally possible. It was felt in Budget and Finance that to prepare a report would not cost any money, but I would expect that whatever report is prepared, that it will give full cost for a pilot program as well as a full-scale program. And the suggestion is a pilot program in 3 areas of the city. I think that we're going to find that it's too expensive and that it's legally questionable, but we can get the report and see. And I think we've already been given that information.
Not for the pilot.
Mr. Holden, did you press your button?
Press my button, Mr. President.
Yeah, press it again.
Does it work now? Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. Mr. President, members, you, Mr. Fuhrer, recommending the Budget and Finance Committee report?
That's correct.
If money is available, if it could be fee supported, is that what you're saying?
That we want to get it fee supported, but want to get a report on any costs into the ad hoc budget committee in the next few weeks. We can consider in the context of the overall budget for next year.
Mr. President, members, fine. Something is better than nothing. However, we know who's advertising on public property. And I put a motion in to say that the city attorney should strictly enforce the law. We can identify the persons and/or persons who's benefiting from this. My motion has not come back yet, but I must tell you, the people who are defacing the public's property should be the one to pay.
Right, I agree.
And so we should not even adopt a plan to let them off the hook until we exhaust all of our efforts first to have them reimburse us for defacing the property. I mean, since there's no money being put in this proposal, I'll vote aye. But my intent, of course, is to require the record companies, motion picture industry, and all those who so advertise at public expense by defacing public properties, they're the ones should pay. Building safety should be out there ripping those signs down. If you put a poster sign, campaign sign, on a post, it costs you $10 or $35 for the first sign, and you pay. And so much each sign thereafter, and you pay. Even if your opponent posts your sign, you pay. Now, come on. Let's make them pay. Well, you want to amend the motion to, that way I don't need my motion.
No, Mr. Holden, what the city attorney has informed us is, in order to enforce, we need inspectors who are staff, city staff, not just volunteers, to go out and identify the signage in the first place so the city attorney can enforce.
Right,
so my motion says, then in the first place, we got to get a few people on board to do that. Then we can make it fee supported as soon as they actually do the work.
All right, fine, on my time. The remaining time is supposed to be shown here. I don't see that. Maybe another not working. But let me just say this, that I don't see, where's the city attorney? I don't see the city attorney. She's supposed to be sitting over there.
She's sitting over there, Mr. Holden.
In back of me.
I know you're a space engineer, but they planned it this way, and we'll work it out.
Please work it out, Mr. President. I want to be, when I ask you a question, I want to be looking at her, not have her in my
she doesn't want to look at you, I think.
Gail? What do you say? Gail? To this issue, what is the city attorney can do? What is the city attorney doing at this time to implement the law, to enforce the law?
Well, I think that the building and safety people enforce the signs, and then they bring us the,
By the way, excuse my back.
I excuse your back, Mr. Holden, thank you.
Yeah, that's the best part of it.
Stab, stab, stab. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, let her finish.
All right. The city attorney's office will enforce, building and safety enforces the signs. They come to us. When we get the complaints, we then will file, do what's
All right.
necessary.
All right.
Okay, your time is up. Mr. Hernandez?
Mr. Fuhrer, my understanding, we're just asking for a report at this
That's right.
time. And there'll be an analysis of that, but an area that I was going to suggest that maybe we also have the CLA and the CAO look at, there's a proliferation of advertising signs throughout the city. And they're different size signs, and they're legal, and there's a fee attached to that. What I'm strongly suggesting is that we look at that fee to see if there's any avenue there to also deal with the proliferation of illegal signs. And maybe the CLA and CAO could look at that structure to see if there is an ability to offset some of the costs that way.
Sure.
I strongly believe people should be prosecuted for the illegal signs and so forth, and that the fees should be able to recover some of that money.
Right.
But we do have a sign ordinance, and we do have signs of all sizes. A lot of those signs are going up without really council approval because they meet certain requirements, and the reality is you have a tremendous number of them. And maybe we should be looking at that structure also as part of the way to offset the cost of this
Fine.
inspection fee.
Mr. Burnson?
Yeah, I understand where this is at because of the fact that we do need the ordinance, but let me ask the city attorney. Right now, it's strictly a fine, is that correct?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Right now, if you post illegally these signs on posts or public property, it is what, just a fine?
It's either a fine or a misdemeanor, I'm not sure.
Is it a misdemeanor?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check with
Well,
our
I
office.
think one of the things that we need to do, because we keep seeing repetition of this going on, not just political campaigns, but all kinds of vendors, all kinds of computer shows that are all over the district all the time. And I think maybe one of the things we need to do is make these people accountable. And you're not going to make them accountable if it's just paying a little fine for one of the signs when they put up hundreds, perhaps. So, I think perhaps we ought to think in terms of making the third or second offense or third offense a misdemeanor, and that requires, on each offense, by the way, on each particular sign, and therefore they are liable to either 6 months in jail or a $1,000 fine. And I think maybe that might be the thing that gets the message across. So if we don't have, I wonder if you can do some research on the matter, and if not, I'm going to bring in a motion which will instruct the city attorney to draw up an ordinance for us that will make it a misdemeanor, and at least on the second or third offense, that it will become a misdemeanor.
All right, is there anyone else wishing to speak? If not, open the roll on the Budget and Finance Committee report. Close the roll.
13 ayes.
That's approved. Next order, Madam Clerk.
13 called special. Councilmember Galanter.
Actually, I think Mr. Hernandez called it special. I just wanted to record a no vote on both reports.
Well, I think we have a majority and minority report. Is there a motion? Chair recognizes first. I have here Councilman Burnson's up. Well, if someone want to move, just a moment here. The order of speakers that Mike, you have to press your button here. I'll call you, but press your button. Okay. All right. Would you note that? Okay. I'm going to call Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Goldberg, Ms. Walters.
Members of the council, currently, in regards to a subsequent hearing in regards to conditional use permit and so forth, there's a 24-day period for notification and a 500-yard radius. What this change is doing is reducing that time frame to 15 days and 300 feet. Now, 300 feet is the size of a football field to 100 yards, And I'm, for example, dealing with issues like Lacey Street, Cabaret, and we're trying to expand that footage to 1,000 square feet in terms of notification. We're trying to make sure that communities have the timeframes to organize and be a part of the governmental process in regards to the use of that land and what kind of facilities are going in. And so my concern is in trying to be able to expedite a nuisance abatement, we're really going to be reducing the time frame to organize, to get people involved who want to get involved, and reducing the areas that we will be notifying. There's an assumption that the people who attend the first hearing will be able to let everybody else know. And so from my perspective, knowing human nature, I just believe that the current system is satisfactory. If anything, in certain areas, we're looking how to expand it. And I don't believe that it would be necessary for us to change it to reduce the time frame as well as the distance. And so I'm moving the minority report in this regard.
I have many of the same problems. I particularly have a problem with the 200 feet and 300 feet issues, because it seems to me that in the abatements that we have been working on in my district, it's been very important to organize community members. Now, the time I might be able to be willing, because this is the second hearing, and so I have no problem in it. I just don't understand why you would reduce the number of square feet you'd send it out, number of feet rather you'd send it out from, because you could presumably drop all of the notices in the mail at the same time. So there's no time loss there. So unless there's some change in this, I would have to say that I would support the minority report and leave things the way they are. Isn't that what the effect of the minority report does, is to leave it where it is? So unless we can, I mean, I would compromise on the time, but not on the distance, because I want to get as many people as possible involved in these issues, and that's what we've been doing in some districts, I think many districts. It seems to me a shame to reduce notification because sometimes it takes all those people to keep things moving. So I'm going to speak in favor of the minority report.
Mrs. Walters?
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, have similar concerns to Mr. Hernandez and to Ms. Goldberg for the self-same reasons, that there's so many properties that need abating in CD9 that we really need the notification time, and we really need the 500-foot radius. I don't know why we would reduce it to a 300-foot radius, because if something is a nuisance, its nuisance value does not stop at 300 feet. And the 24-day notification does not seem inordinate to me. But the 15-day, and as Ms. Goldberg, I believe, said, you need that time to get the information out to people and get people to know the importance of appearing and stating their concerns. I think this is a step backward for neighborhoods as we look at the possible more intense involvement of neighborhoods in land use decision making. And this, to me, would seem the obvious place to start that. Continue the 24-day notice period and continue the 500-foot radius. So I would prefer, and Mr. Hernandez, as I understand it, you are supporting which one are you supporting?
Leaving it as is.
Leaving it as is. All right, I will support on both counts. I would support the minority report on this and urge others to do likewise.
Ms. Galander wants to be heard, but apparently her machine's not working, so we'll call. Huh?
I want to clarify two things. First of all, is there a motion on the floor? Okay, which is the minority report. Okay, and just now clarify for me that the minority report does not change anything in the existing situation. In that case, I'll support the minority report.
Mr. Burnson, you want to be heard?
Yes, I do, and I think there's a little misconception about this. The original notice, when the original hearing takes place, is exactly as it was before. This is just subsequent to subsequent hearings. Now, if something is a nuisance, believe me, you won't have to have 24 days to organize. They'll be knocking on your door, they'll be there, particularly because they're going to be brought into the process early, the same way they are now. The problem with this is, on the notification on the 500 feet, on most cases, when we have a land use application, the developer or the applicant pays for the cost of the mailing and so forth. On these types of things, the city pays for it, and there is a sizable amount of expense in doing so, number one. It also requires more staff time, and it is going to cost the city more money, and I just question whether it's really necessary. On most land use cases, there's a 15-day notification period on most all land cases, aren't there? On appeals and so forth? Yeah, on appeals. That's what this, so that's subsequent to that and consistent with everything we do on the 15-day. The only real question here is whether it's 300 feet or 500 feet. Now, if you recall, I was the one that brought in the motion originally when we expanded to 500 feet from 300 feet. All of our land use notifications used to be 300 feet or the first 50, no matter how many miles you had to go in direction to notify. Now, we changed that. We also changed to residents as well as property owners. So the city has made every single effort it can to involve the public in the process. If you vote for the minority report here, you're just going to be increasing the cost of the city, and you're really not going to be accomplishing anything additional. So I would urge, I'm going to move as a substitute motion, the majority report.
Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to be heard? Well, the machine's not working, Mr. Holden. Mr. Wax has the floor. Yeah, well, Mr. Wax said it before you did.
You go ahead first, and I'll go after you, Nate.
No, you go, Mr. Wax. I want to hear you.
You go, Mr. Wax. Go ahead. You go, boy.
Press the 3 minute.
Mr. President, I think
can we do the 3 minutes?
if you're going to err, you have to err on the side of giving more notice and more time. Ms. Goldberg, we were looking at possibly a compromise as well, but actually came on the other side of the coin, thinking that the time period was more important, because people in 9 days, if they were really concerned, could reach out to lots of people, and the time for for organizing was actually even more important than the radius. And of course, the time has no cost element to it. The radius has the cost that Mr. Burnson mentioned, but the time has no cost involved to the city and gives people. And the second, it's true, this is like the second hearing, but the second hearing is almost more important, because the second hearing is when you really have time, you really can take action now to close them down. This is where you look and see whether the conditions have done what they're supposed to do, whether they need to be changed, or whether you need to take subsequent action and even close down a building that has been a tremendous nuisance. So I think that the second hearing or the subsequent hearing is every bit as important as the first. In fact, more power is usually vested in that respect. So I would be really hesitant to change this. I think that if I was going to make any change, I could go a little bit with the one dealing with the cost on the radius, but I'd want to at least keep the 24 days, because people should have the time that they need to organize, to present their case at the hearing as to how effective the conditions have or have not been, whether more are needed or whether it's simply something that really has to be closed down. And I think people often need that time to prepare their case. So I would go with Mr. Hernandez with the minority report. If I were to compromise, it would be on the radius to reduce the cost, but not on the time in which to organize the community.
Mr. Holden, would you press 3 minutes?
Mr. President, before I speak on the issue, I want to say that we should be a bigger sponge here to defect the noise. You want to have that spit static. We have to debug the system. Again, debug the system. Yeah. And not on the issue, Mr. President.
You're very versatile, Dave.
On the issue, Mr. President, let's consider on a case-by-case basis a community council being given the opportunity to address an issue within that community as it relates to planning and zoning. Something they've been asking for some time. And how do you involve them in the process unless they are notified that there's an issue of controversy? Now, if you're going to move here today to take away that opportunity and reduce the radius from 500 feet to 300 feet, you're doing just that, saying, I deny, shall we say, nor will I provide the opportunity for those persons who live beyond 300 feet to 500 feet, notification that there's an item or an issue of controversy in their neighborhood. And what you're saying, even before Mr. Wax talked about the community council, the mayor's talking about community council, and many of you have talked about community councils. You cannot shut the community out of the process. And to reduce the radius from 500 feet to 300 feet is unthinkable, because that's in fact what you're doing. I know maybe you didn't think about it totally, or the consequences of your action, but that will be the consequence of your action. To deny, to fail to permit total community participation on an item that's of controversy. So I would say to you, Mr. President, members, that if things are not so bad, leave them the way they are. And with that, Mr. Hernandez, I'm going to support your motion. Mr. Burnson, I would respectfully request that you withdraw yours, because you can't get a no or an aye vote on this. Now, whatever comes up, everything comes up yes, and we don't know who the no's are or what's going to come before us.
We'll know, Mr.
Would you fix that, Mr. President?
Yeah. Mrs. Chick.
In terms of the goal of trying to speed up the process, because there are really two aspects in my mind to these proceedings. One is the need and the desire to involve the community, and the other is to solve a problem. And one of the things that I've noticed with great frustration is in dealing with nuisance properties or nuisance businesses, it's a very long process and very frustrating to most of us to find ways to deal with it more expeditiously. And there's been a various number of efforts emanating from different committees and council members to do that. So I've approached this as a way to help speed up the kind of tough action that needs to happen in many cases. It's a total of, I realize, only about 9 days? But how long do these cases usually take from beginning to resolution? And are there other ways that we have looked to streamline and have been successful in speeding up?
Councilwoman Chick, yes, it takes up to 2 years to go through an entire process here, and this is an effort to try to streamline that. And yes, we're working with the other agencies as a result of a council motion to try to streamline both the bringing these cases up quicker through the zoning administrator process, and secondly, to do better enforcement, more consistent enforcement. A motion adopted by your council last week directed staff to come back with a report in 60 days on that particular matter, and we will be reporting back to you.
Right. And so, I mean, I do think we need to be careful not to do it in a way that cuts out public participation, but because the recommendation here is for subsequent hearings, and anyone who is at the first hearing will be included, as well as, I don't believe there's ever been one of these cases that's remotely gone forward without intimate council involvement, where we ourselves and our staff are very much working to bring people to these meetings. And then finally, in the final decisions, the testimony of the public is key, but by the time you get to subsequent hearings, in terms of monitoring the conditions, we're very much looking to our staff and our professionals for that kind of feedback. So I guess, in summary, I'm going to support the majority report here. I certainly want us to be moving towards forming neighborhood councils and things like that, and enhancing community participation, but I'm also concerned with going after these problem properties in an efficient and expedient way, and I think that this is in that direction that does not denigrate public participation. Thank you.
Mr. Fuhr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to speak very briefly because I was going to say some things that are very similar to what Ms. Chick just said. Actually, zeroing in on what this is not for all land use purposes. We're talking about a nuisance. And in the context of a nuisance, at the second hearing, you have the alleged creator of the nuisance coming forward, and the question is, have you abated the problem or not at that point, correct? So, under those circumstances, shortening the time to either get rid of the nuisance, or if it's been taken care of, everybody knows it's been taken care of, is I think a positive step, not a negative one. I don't have strong views regarding the distance issue, but I do think regarding time for this particular variety of land use decision, we should be making it brief, to the point, and I think Mr. Benson has it right in this case, and Ms. Wizakowski has it right when they authored the majority report here. And so because it's a nuisance, because we're trying to rid our communities of nuisance, because it's a second nuisance abatement hearing, because of who the party coming forward is going to be, that is the alleged nuisance creator, I'm going to support the majority report.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, I'm reminded of the beginning of this discussion, at least one phase of that beginning, where the point of concern for many members of the council, at least at that time, was how we could more effectively streamline the process of ridding communities throughout the city of these negative, call them nuisance, problem properties, most of which were commercial in nature. It seems now that the proposal is before us. There is a concern on the part of a number of us, and these concerns, I would say, are legitimate, but I would hope that they wouldn't serve to overshadow or even, at this point, vitiate the original intent, which was to try to rid communities of problem properties. This is not designed to limit the participation of communities. It is, in effect, to respond to the pleas or the cries from communities, from Wilmington to Woodland Hills, for that matter, to find a more effective way to deal with these kinds of negative situations in these respective communities. I'm reminded of the fact that once a community is interested in following a process through, there's a considerable amount of rotation in the process of those who can participate. Why? Because of the length of time it takes to get a problem handled or solved or resolved. And to the extent that that is the case, our thinking at the time, and I simply rise to remind us of that, was to try and figure out an effective way to move through this in a more expeditious fashion, not to limit participation, but to get to the end result in a above-the-board, open-handed fashion. Now, perhaps what we have before us does not satisfy both of those concerns. Expeditious but inclusive results. To the extent that that is the case, the discussion about the majority report on the one hand and the minority report on the other hand, I would ask, is there not a way to fashion a recommendation that effectively synthesizes both of the tendencies that are being articulated now? Have we done our best work at this point in time in terms of expediting and at the same time maximizing the participation of those who would be concerned? Mr. President, I think all of us, as best as possible, ought to be on the same page here, and I would like to hear from staff, with your permission, on a way to accomplish that.
Yes, I would suggest that Council Member Goldberg's suggestion was an appropriate one, to keep the 15-day provision, but in the ordinance, and retain the 500-foot notification might satisfy that fairly simply.
Okay, Ms. Wizakowski.
Mr. President, that's what I was going to get up to do. I think the synthesis of the comments around here are basically in terms of expediting the sense of the frustration that people have right now in eliminating a nuisance, which is what this meant to accomplish, can be done by amending, and so I moved that we amend the minority report to allow for 15-day notification period, but retain the 500-foot notification. And that synthesizes the two reports, allows the depth and spreading of the information as it's now required, but does reduce the time notice on subsequent hearings. So it does have the 24-day for the first hearing, but subsequent to that, it's 15 days, and that's my motion.
Okay. Ms. Galanter?
I move the previous question.
Well, prepare the roll on the previous question. Tabulate the vote.
7 ayes, 7 noes.
That did not pass, so we, yeah. Can we get the names back? Okay, Mr. Savornich has not spoken yet, so we'll call on Mr. Savornich.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. The question I would have, in order that we can go through this process, let's say that there is a nuisance of property that is existing out there right now, and I call and complain today. Could you walk us through the process rather quickly on my time in order to, until we get to abatement?
Specifically talking about residential type uses that are created as a nuisance.
And if the residential property owner does not want to be cooperative?
Up until last year, we were not able to abate residential uses. So we have not exactly gone through the residential process for those types of uses.
So we have no precedent for residential abatement?
That is correct. No precedent right now, and I'm sure it will be coming down the line shortly.
The question that I do have is that, and maybe city attorney would want to answer this question also, is that does the city have any rights under our municipal authority versus the rights of the private property owner that in regards to abating the problem at the residential site? We know that a commercial site could take upwards of 2 years. What rights do we have if there is a residential property?
Let him answer because your time is up.
You know, what are our choices then?
Actually, one of the first cases I did in land use was a civil action to go in and abate a nuisance in a, I think it would be actually Mr. Hernandez's district now. We can go in that procedure, and we have done that in cooperation with the fire department and the building and safety department. I believe, though, that there is now a procedure that, and Cora and Frank would know about that, where we amended our code to allow us to go in and abate some of the residential nuisances.
Okay.
I can't see.
Did you want to respond?
Yeah.
I'd just say the authority is the same as is for commercial properties.
All right, Ms. Goldberg.
When we went in.
Well, I was actually going to suggest the compromise that's been suggested. I think that I like the 24 days, but the 15 days doesn't bother me as much because it's the second time around. If we can get people organized once and we can get them notified the second time, I think we can get them out. I think part of the differences in who's supporting which number of days is the differences in the various districts and how they deal with abatement. I mean, it's a very different process in some places than in others, even within my own district. But the problem uses are in areas in my district where if we do not generate involvement by the community, we do not get them to be able to have enough time to take off work to come down to the hearings and so forth, then really very little has been happening without that support. And so I think I will support the compromise reluctantly, but only because I would like to see it tried. We have the same frustrations. We all want it to go faster. The problem is though you do need a lot of community involvement, and I think if you expand the notification, I'm willing to at least try it and have a report back, and I'd like to amend the amendment to ask for a report back at the end of 1 year of implementation to the Plum Committee as to whether or not there have been problems with getting community involvement as a result of the compromise, should the compromise pass.
Thank you. I don't think there's any objections to that. Mr. Alarcon?
I merely rise in support of the twice amended version of the minority report. I would support the minority report as it is, quite frankly, because I think that some community, it's not just a question of the bureaucracy moving faster. Sometimes it's a question of the community moving slower. And we have to recognize that in a diverse city such as Los Angeles, some communities are not as informed and nor are they as prepared to express themselves in an organized fashion. Some places in my community where they have a very active neighborhood watch program, they push us to do the process. But in other parts of our community where we have no organized community focus on issues like nuisance abatement, they might ignore the most egregious offenses. And so I think that in those areas we need more time to work with the community. Also, I'm concerned in particular where there are large parcels. When you're talking about 300 feet, in my neighborhood, when you're talking about 300 feet, not that I have a large parcel, but you're talking about just a handful of people. 300 feet goes, or at least 50? It has to be at least 50?
Okay, I'll repeat that.
Until you get to 50 people?
Yes.
Oh, well, okay, then that takes care of that argument. Nevertheless, I do support the both the amendment to the 15-day notification and the amendment to add a report back in a year. And should those amendments not be accepted, I would support the minority report as is.
We still have Mr. Burnson, Mr. Wax, Mrs. Wallers, Mr. Holden, Mr. Hernandez, Mrs. Chick, Mrs. Zavornich. Mr. Burnson.
Yeah, first of all, no, I don't have a problem with the amendments. The only question is the cost to the city who has to pay for that extra distance on the second notification. So, all of our efforts have been to try to get a speedier compliance on the nuisance abatement ordinance. In fact, I have a motion in now on the motels that makes it, that holds the property owner responsible, which was not the case before. We're waiting for that to come to council so we can get that enacted. And we frankly are looking for ways to speed up this process so it doesn't take 2 years. But unfortunately, we are told that we have to exercise due process of law. And we mustn't forget that. But we're going to try to find ways to speed up the process of dealing with people who are operating in a manner that is offensive to the community. So I'll go along with the amended report because I think it's possibly a compromise. But when the planning department tells you that it's going to cost how many extra dollars a year to do this? Just quick, figure. Per application. This is going to cost about $3,000 additional per application. So you understand it. We weren't trying to cut down anything other than the cost. We still require people who are developing to pay for their 500-foot. So I would suggest an aye vote. Which one was amended? The minority report? Okay, I will withdraw my majority report motion in favor of the twice amended minority report.
Mr. Wax.
I have to ask Ms. Chick and Mr. Fuhrer, Mr. Fuhrer, the intent, cutting the time from 24 days to 15 days won't shorten the time. The second, because it's the subsequent hearing, say it comes in a year, or whenever they decide, 6 months. All you do is send out the notices 9 days earlier. The hearing is at the same time. Cutting the time between when the notice is sent out and when you have the hearing won't speed up the process one bit. All you have to do to speed up the process is change the time of the hearing. But if you're going to have a hearing in a year, you just send out the notice 9 days earlier. But like Mr. Alarcon says, the real issue is some communities move slower. This is the second hearing. This is the time the people in the community affected by it have to come to the ZA and give evidence as to whether or not it's been working, so that they can either modify the conditions or close it down. Now, you need time to, or some communities need time to figure out when they're going to take off work, when they're going to, how they're going to present their information, how they're going to do it. And you won't cut the process one bit. You just send out the notice 9 days earlier. So the fact of the matter is, if you really want to compromise at all, you go with on Mr. Bernson's on the time, because that at least cuts on the distance, that cuts $3,000 off. But this 9 days isn't going to guarantee you 1 day less. So I would suggest either we stick with Mr. Hernandez's. If you do want to compromise, at least on Mr. Bernson's on the distance, you save the $3,000, although I agree with Mr. Holden that you have the negative of that. But on the timing, you are not
Why don't we
going from
restrict this debate to 9 days,
yeah,
Joe?
from 24 to 15 doesn't by itself change the timing one bit. The timing is determined when you call the hearing for, right?
Councilman, if you figure all the possible hearings, it would save up to 45 days total, because you figure that there's possible 6 hearings, all but the first hearing.
That's not the point. The point is, does giving 24-day notice in any way lengthen the time? And I say it doesn't. The time is determined by when you set your hearing, and then you just get your notices out earlier. The hearing is the same.
You made a good point. What's the answer?
No, Mr. Wax, you have the floor for another 25 seconds.
Councilman, we would set the hearing earlier because we'd have a shorter notice period.
No, that's illogical. No, that's not logical. I got to say something's wrong with our planning staff right now.
Okay. Mrs. Walters?
Part of my additional statement has been obviated by statements of other council people. But I just wanted to say, in support of what Mr. Wax just said, about in some communities it takes a longer time to organize. Even though it is the second notice, I still think that it needs the 24 days because it allows people to get themselves together in order to be there and to be certain that they have the time. We don't hold the hearings in the evenings, they're in the day, and it does require people to make babysitting arrangements or to make arrangements for their workplaces. So again, I will support Mr. Hernandez's minority report on this and urge that we move forward.
Mr. Holden?
Mr. Hernandez, are you accepting those amendments? No, he's not. Mr. President, members, I think that we have to keep in mind when the voters have given an opportunity to be notified based on distance and time, they have voted that they be included in the process, and they support the distance. I remind you of the Coastal Commission before it was set up by a vote of the people. They said 1,000 feet. I know Mr. Hernandez said he'd like to have it 1,000 feet. The Coastal Commission said 1,000 feet or to the first ridge. But even though they went to the second ridge or 5 miles in to notify the public when there was a development about to take place near the coast, nobody said it was too far. You were in violations of the Coastal Commission initiative. And so when the voters speak on something like this, they want to be heard. And they're saying when they're given a chance to vote on it, they want to be heard. They want to be notified. So by sticking to the 500 feet, hey, you only giving them what they're asked for. If they want, oh, I'm sorry, John, you want me to stop? Okay, I quit.
Mr. Hernandez, will you quit?
Mr. President, members of the council, you know, trying to make government make sense it has to have a very basic principle, and that's listening to the people. And I want to remind everybody that when we had public hearings, the groups that came to testify for the 24-day period we're the people who are dealing with the issue of nuisance abatement, and particularly in the area of liquor store sales. They were not asking for 15 days, they were asking for 24. When you talk about the extra 3,000, let's understand that's us bureaucrats talking, because the reality is we're spending it now in the notification process. Mr. Burnson is not talking about us spending an additional 3,000, it's what we spend now. What I'm trying to caution us from doing is, in my district, there's no question that I have to deal with this issue on a daily basis, whether it be residential, commercial, because of the mixed use and the land uses, the previous decisions that have been made. And what I find is, to get a community involved, first we have to let them know that government works for them. And all of a sudden they realize at a hearing that they have a voice. But those numbers grow in a process. And the growth process requires not elimination of days, not elimination of radius, it requires expansion. And I'm explaining it in some very basic organizing terms, because I've dealt with it time and time again in my district. If I believe that 15 days would close these establishments down faster, I'd be supporting it. But it's the people who have to feel that way. And what we're doing right now is restricting our opportunity to deal with people. We're restricting the people's opportunity to deal with these issues. And that's why I'm not supportive of the change. Now, more important, logic would tell me to look at the whole process and understand the whole process before I cast my vote. See, I don't believe the time consumption happens during this hearing process. I believe it happens in the gathering of evidence. I believe it happens in the decision-making the bureaucrats take in order to make those decisions. And so we're being asked to vote on one little piece right now of a process. And I would suggest that we send it all back to committee. I would suggest that we look at the entire process, and that what comes before us as a council is a comprehensive package on how to reduce the time frame. And that's what I'm asking us to vote on today. Let's send it back. Let's have us bring the whole process to us. Let's not piecemeal it, because in the piecemealing, I honestly believe we're going to be making some mistakes. But the area not to shortchange is the community and the time frames in which we have to deal with the community. So that's my new motion.
Mrs. Chick?
Yes, if you would clarify after Mr. Wax's comments. My understanding is this is for the second hearing and for a whole variety of other hearings that take place, because very often the business owner is the one that's appealing the ZA finding, and then it goes to the BZA, and it goes to, I think, Plum, and it comes to council.
That's correct.
And so it's not just for a second hearing, it's for all of those.
That's correct.
And, you know, I was looking at this, I mean, it is a way to expedite. It is significant over the period of time. But now I am quite pulled on this, because I'm listening to some of my colleagues who are making very good explanations why, in fact, this is a tool, vehicle for organizing communities and for getting people involved in the process, which has a value in and of itself. So in a way, I'm not sure what gets accomplished sending it back to committee, and Mr. Burnson, Chair of Plum, is saying he doesn't want it back. And then I was engaging, I think, in wishful thinking that there was a way to have some flexibility so that, for instance, if there was a case in Mr. Hernandez's district or many others that are feeling strongly about this, that there could be a wider, broader notification. But I think I'm incorrect in thinking we can have that flexibility. That's a question. It's really a legal question.
We could always notify more than which we are required to. This is a minimum notice that we're talking about here. But if the council person is...
But that doesn't deal with the time as well, which is a major point.
No, that does not deal with the time.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mr. Savornich? Mr. Savornich moved the previous question. You're out of order, Mr. Holden. Is there any objection to the previous question? Okay, we have the amendment now. Would you tell us what the amendments are?
Mr. President, I wasn't quite sure. Councilman Hernandez said something about referring the entire matter back to Plum. Was that his latest motion?
That would be the first vote, wouldn't it?
All right. Was there a second to that motion?
What is your point?
Mr. President, members of the council, Plum is dealing with the entire issue of speeding up the process. But on this particular phase of it, just vote it up or down. Either way, I don't care. The entire thing was to try to speed up the process and to save some money, but if you want to go the other way, that's fine with me. But I don't want this portion of
Okay,
it back.
you made your point. Okay.
So he's withdrawing the referral back to committee?
No.
No, he wants to refer the entire
Okay,
matter
prepare
back
the
to
roll
committee.
prepare the roll on.
Councilman Hernandez motion to refer
To
the
refer
entire
it all
matter
back
back
to the
Plum
committee.
Committee.
And the chairman has asked for a no vote. Prepare the roll.
Ask for a yes vote.
Tabulate the vote.
5 ayes, 9 noes.
That failed. Now we have
Now you have
The
the
amendment?
amendment as amended by Goldberg, and you can see it on the screen behind me here. It would amend the minority report.
Okay. Prepare the roll on.
This is on the amending motions, Ms. Zakowski as amended by Goldberg.
Mrs. Goldberg's motion was just to get a report into the end of the year.
Yes, that's correct. That was accepted. This is to amend the minority report to allow the 15-day notification period, but retain the 500 feet notification requirement.
Sorry, I still don't understand. Is this just on whether to amend, or is it on the amended?
This is on the amendment itself, because Councilman Burnson said he would be agreeable to this.
All right, but this is not a vote on the motion. If this passes, we have a separate vote on the
On the
motion
minority
as
report
amended.
as amended,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Okay, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 3 noes.
That is approved. Now we have,
Minority report before you as amended.
prepare the roll.
Minority report as amended.
Prepare, yes. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 4 noes.
That is approved.
Now, another ordinance will be drafted and sent back to council with those changes that's been recommended by council.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Eberhard. Okay.
33 called special?
We've had asked 33 to be called special. We have cards on that, first of all. We have Moshi Levy. Moshi Levy wants to be heard on 33, and
33. Mr. President,
Miss.
it might be helpful to have a presentation by the city attorney first before we have the public hearing. This is a matter in the 11th District. It's an action taken by the Board of Recreation and Parks Commission in awarding a contract for a construction project under Prop K for a gymnasium in Pacific Palisades Recreation Center. Although the Recreation and Parks Commission had reconsidered the matter after finding a criminal filing that was filed by the city attorney, I think subsequent information has come to light. And so I have brought in this motion to assert jurisdiction over the matter, hold a hearing on the project and on this subject, and then further deal with it after we've held that hearing. But I think that it would probably be appropriate at this time to hear from the city attorney.
Good afternoon. I'm Ed Fimbrace. I'm the Assistant City Attorney in charge of the Special Enforcement Unit in our office. And we're the branch of the criminal branch that brought this particular matter. I think there was something in the press regarding what the prosecutor can and cannot say regarding this matter, but let me tell you that when I was in law school, professors always used to tell us that bad situations or bad cases bring about bad law. And what I'm talking about is the Code of Professional Responsibility provisions that were brought in to being as a result of the O.J. Simpson case. If you recall, Quentin Kopp sponsored, and it ultimately was passed, a provision that severely limits what a public prosecutor can say about any given prosecution prior to that prosecution being brought before the jury. And as a result, we really can't go into the extreme detail, but we can explain what we've done in this particular case in regards to the complaint. We can't do much more than that. In fact, there's a situation in Ventura County where the DA has charges pending against him simply because he said that he believed the defendant was guilty and he believed that he had a good case. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to take a risk here and tell you that we believe the same in this case. But I'm going to turn it over to Deborah Sanchez, who's the deputy prosecuting this case.
Hi, I was going to tell you a little bit about this case. Basically, the Los Angeles Housing Department, the representative from their special finance unit, forwarded this information to me, and I reviewed it. Based on the information that was presented to me and the evidence that I reviewed, I felt that criminal charges were warranted against David Farrell, Moshe Levy, and Guy Construction Company Incorporated. One of the first charges, or the first charges, the first charge in this complaint is conspiracy to commit a theft. And what I can tell you is, because it is part of the public record, I can tell you what the pertinent part of that complaint indicates, that as part of the conspiracy, the said defendants, meaning David Farrell and Moshe Levy, committed the following overt acts: submitted a document to the Los Angeles Housing Department requesting a waiver of the performance bond, submitted an invoice to the Los Angeles Housing Department requesting reimbursement in the amount of $21,321 for the following: a performance and payment bond that was not purchased, $5,000 for awnings that were not installed, $9,000 for a concrete walkway that was not constructed. They certified to the Los Angeles Housing Department that the work had been performed, represented that items requested by the contractor had been reviewed and inspected, received money from the Los Angeles Housing Department as reimbursement for the items claimed, specifically the performance bond, the awnings, the concrete walkway, in a total amount of $35,321. Now, the rest of the complaint is basically charges grand theft, which is anything over $400. And these charges are against the individuals, David Farrell and Moshe Levy, as well as the construction company. But the first count that I just read, and the detail with regard to what acts were committed, were alleged in count 1 that I've already read. And it is public record. The complaint is a part of the public record, and that's why I can speak to you about this.
Okay, then.
If you need more detail, you can speak to the actual people in the housing department who can go into detail. They still have their First Amendment rights.
Okay, let's hear from Moshe Levy.
And I'm from Guy Construction. Basically, I don't believe, you can take the job away from us because of, we've been charged, but I think, we have to go to the court process in order, to make us guilty. That's all I want to say. I can talk about the case and all the detail. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Shapiro, you want to be heard on this?
Mr. President and members of the council, at least the ones I can see, on this particular case, I listened intently to what the city attorney was saying and what Cindy Mizikowski was talking about, and I really don't understand any reticence on the part of the council on asserting jurisdiction and making sure that this thing is stopped right now. But in addition to that, I would like to suggest that the commissioners who voted not to rescind the previous award of contract and voted to deem Guy Construction the responsive bidder be investigated. How could the commissioners make this determination when they heard just what you heard this morning? That the firm has been guilty of conspiracy and guilty of grand theft. And then they still vote, in spite of that, to give him. And Mr. Levy stands up here and says, all I want to tell you is the courts are going to handle this. I don't think anybody should be threatened by that, and I think everybody should be guided by the point of what makes a responsive bidder. If this is not a responsive bidder, then the next highest should be involved. It's only $8,700 difference in the whole contract. And as far as this city is concerned, you need responsible people. You got too many irresponsible people working for you and taking contracts from you. And when you get evidence by attorneys who are telling you that these people are not doing the right thing, well, it's quick to serve. I would recommend you serve relations immediately.
Thank you. Your time is up. Ms. Sikowski.
To correct Mr. Shapiro, there has been no one found guilty in this case, but charges have been filed. I have also had the city attorney research this matter, and the city attorney has conveyed and provided the information that after researching all the available information, that we can find that the Guy Construction is a non-responsive bidder in this matter, and that the city attorney is comfortable with the finding that we can make that non-responsible action and award it to the next lowest or next highest bidder, which was a very minimal amount of money different. There's a case I wanted to mention something why I think this has been brought to my attention. This is a matter, it's a $1.7 million contract in the Pacific Palisades for which $760,000 was raised in the community. So I think that there is even a higher standard of alertness on the part of the community. There is a Citizens Review Committee that has recommended that we award it to the next bidder. And in defense of the Recreation and Parks Commission, they have not had the available information to the detail that the council office has had. As I think was explained earlier, the city attorney had some reticence or at least some discomfort in talking to the commission. They have since researched that, and what is going on is we have a firewall in the city, and it's an appropriate one, between the civil action, the civil side of the city attorney's office and the criminal side, and that should be the case. However, in researching and asking for information, we were able to get information that was provided, some of which has been provided here today. I have talked with the Recreation and Parks Commission President, Mr. Sobroff, and he indicated that they have no objection to the action of the City Council at this time. So this is not meant to be in confrontation with them, just in enhancement of some further details. So I am asking that the Council act to assert the jurisdiction. Again, this is not necessarily a trial, but it is a discretionary action on the part of the city in an awarding a contract where I think a higher threshold of concern has been brought to our attention, and we should act accordingly. So I ask that the council vote affirmatively to assert the jurisdiction and to rescind the award of the contract as was issued by Recreation and Parks Department and award the contract to the next bidder who is ready. I'm not sure if he's in the audience, but he has been in communication with us, and he's ready and capable to sign the contract and get the work done very, very expeditiously. Thank you.
Mr. Alarcon?
I think Councilmember Miskowski answered most of my questions, but I just want to be very clear. The standard to determine whether somebody is non-responsive or not, which is not a criminal standard, but merely a standard that in a previous contract we believe that the contractor failed to perform things that they committed to perform, and therefore, based on that, we can determine that they are retroactively non-responsive.
It's a question of responsibility. There are two terms that are being confused. Responsive is, did you respond to all the requests that the department made for the bid? Responsibility is a matter of not only trustworthiness, but capability to perform the work in a satisfactory manner. And the issue here is one of honesty. It's one of trustworthiness. If you find
And the city has the right to require reliability and trustworthiness.
Correct. And if you find that there's evidence that you believe that shows there was dishonesty, you can find that this bidder is not
and the level of proof is not a reasonable doubt. It's
no, the level
just,
of proof is that you believe that there is evidence that shows
that's
that.
to answer the question with regard to the fact there is no conviction, criminal conviction. We believe that they have acted inappropriately in the past and that we should not contract with them. So I wholeheartedly agree. I have a concern, though, about this concept of a firewall. It seems to me that the information could have been conveyed to other sections of the city attorney's office without violating the information. Since the standard is not a criminal standard, it seems to me we could have provided information with regard to information that might have been in violation of the contract or the fact that we were considering another contract, that information could have been passed on. And so I have a concern that we may be, this firewall may be unnecessary to the extent that we're merely passing over information, not relative to a criminal case, but merely information that might apply to a city contract.
Right. I think the council made a motion a couple of weeks ago to discuss how we might better share information, and we'll be bringing in a report on that in a couple of weeks. I think we're going to look at that in a larger context.
Well, then, to be very specific with my question, am I right to think that we might be able to improve how we can communicate, not related to the criminal case pending, but related to contracting, information that might be pertinent to the contracting process?
Right. We think it may be possible to improve that communication.
Okay.
Just a couple of quick questions. There is a criminal complaint that's been lodged in this case, is that correct? Was this followed with a report or a complaint to the state state license commissioners board that licenses contractors?
Actually, when,
yes or no, that's all I need.
well, no.
Okay, and then
But
I'll ask...
it could happen after following a conviction.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to wait for a conviction. Anytime, it doesn't have to be a criminal action. The state board is there to evaluate when a contractor is not fulfilling civil obligations as well as contractual. And I think that we should follow up, and at least on that merit alone, even if it's not a criminal action, it's still a violation of a contract or an RFP or whatever they were supposed to do. So I would hope that we would, in the future, we should take that kind of action, because that's what the state board is there for. The state commissioner that deals with licensed contractors. And that's all I'm going to support Ms. Miskowski's motion, but I think that we as a city should follow up, because not only are we trying to get our concerns taken care of, but we're also adding to the public's protection, because these things are on record, and if a contractor has a bad record and is doing this type of thing, then their contractor's license is pulled. So we're not doing our job if we don't do that also.
Mr. Fuhr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to commend Ms. Miskowski for doing the extensive research that she's done on this issue and for her concern about the propriety of the issuance of this contract on an important project in her district where, as she points out, there's been a lot of public involvement to promote a good project on site. I have a couple questions. There are a couple different reasons we could be determining today that the contract should be awarded to a different bidder. One reason, one category of reasons, relates to the question, is there enough evidence before us to suggest a non-responsible bidder? Another category of factor would be there is a cloud of suspicion that hangs over this contractor that we should take into account in determining whether or not to rescind the contract award. And that, all things being equal, if we have a contract over whom there's a cloud, we shouldn't do that. And Mr. Brown is shaking his head saying, no, it's the former and not the latter.
Correct.
So I want to, because I want to assure that the action we take is itself legally defensible today. Let me ask you. I was not listening to every word that was spoken here, but so correct me if I'm mistaken, but the sum and substance of what you presented to us is we felt there was justification for bringing legal action against, in a criminal matter, against this contractor. But we don't know the underlying information. Ms. Miskowski knows, I think, the underlying information, but we do not.
No, you do. It's been explained to you by the prosecutor this morning what the underlying basis for the charges is.
Well, we understand that. Go ahead.
The actual facts, you have that available to you directly from the Housing Department. The employees that would be our witnesses at trial are available to you to tell you what the facts are that led to the complaint.
Oh, that they are here?
They're here right now.
Okay, because, see, what I want to be sure about is that we don't take the right action without sufficient reasons and end up being sued for making a mistake in that respect. Is it the city attorney's opinion that by stating the causes, the charges that are pending, without so far hearing the underlying facts, that we have enough on the table for this council to determine to take the action Ms. Mizikowski recommends?
I can answer very quickly. What you need to do is you need to hear the charges, you need to give an opportunity to the contractor to rebut the charges, and then also give him an opportunity to show that he is responsible. If you find, based on what you've heard, that there has been dishonesty by this contractor, that is sufficient.
And again, to be clear, what we have heard so far is we filed these charges, which are the following things, based on the facts before you, but you do not believe we need to hear the underlying evidence that would support those charges.
I believe that if you assume jurisdiction, you should hold a hearing, and you should hear the charges, you should offer the opportunity to rebut.
Cindy, Ms. Mizikowski, so the city attorney is saying, I want to be sure I understand the course of action. You're recommending two things, both that we assert jurisdiction and that we rescind the contract award and give it to an alternative bidder. I think Mr. Brown is saying we should assert jurisdiction, then hold, I don't want to cause unnecessary procedure, then hold a hearing which includes those folks. On what are we voting? Both things or just the former?
Mr. Fuhrer, you already 32 seconds over, but continue.
But every second was a precious one. Cindy, go ahead.
Mr. Fuhrer, I believe that we did it in the order of the actions, move to assert jurisdiction and hold a hearing. We held a hearing and heard from the contractor in question, and I don't think there were any other cards present.
Okay.
And Mr. Brown, is that?
I think you might have to push your button again. Ms. Goldberg is next.
Well, Mr. Brown has a response.
Right. I think you might want to also hear from the Housing Department staff the detailed allegations and give the contractor an opportunity to rebut those allegations.
Okay. If that is appropriate, I would move that the Housing Department staff come forward to detail the allegations as the city attorney outlined.
You could, though, separate the questions and assert jurisdiction first.
You can't do that.
Okay. Let's take the advice of the city attorney and first move to assert jurisdiction. So can I?
Ms. Mizikowski,
I'm being guided by the city clerk and the city attorney, and they recommend that we take first a vote to assert jurisdiction so that we can hear the evidence in the case.
Ms. Goldberg wants to speak first before we.
I don't.
All right, then.
So I'm asking for an aye vote on asserting jurisdiction so the matter can continue.
Any objection to asserting jurisdiction? All right, call a roll.
13 ayes.
13 ayes, so ordered. Ms. Goldberg, you're next.
I was really going to move the previous question on the entire matter because from the information I have, I'm ready to vote.
Yes, no other speakers. So,
Mr. President, can I ask, again, under the advice of the city attorney, as suggested by Mr. Fuhrer, that it might be prudent for the council to hear the specific allegations by the Housing Department, then hear if there's any, then allow the Mr. Moshe Levy to rebut them, to discuss them, and then the council to vote.
And then after that, we'll hear from Mr. Hernandez and you again, Ms. Mizikowski, and we'll return the chair to Mr. Goldberg. The motion is out of order, so I'm told. It doesn't count until we have the legal expression of what's in order.
Yes, I'm Bill Jones with the Los Angeles Housing Department. During a routine review of earthquake recovery files, it was revealed that there was not a bond or a copy of the bond in the Farrell file. David Farrell was the borrower and the contractor was Guy Construction. We called the borrower and asked them if they could send us a copy of the bond so that we could close out our file. They said that they reported that the bond was not required and that they had waived the bond requirements. We sent a letter stating that and then requested reimbursement for the bond after the payment was made. The payment was made, yet the bond was never purchased. Both Farrell and Guy Construction responded acknowledging the fact that the bond had been waived and the money was used for other work. A review of the file revealed that the bill was indeed the $21,000 included in the first payment for $137,000. It was submitted by Guy Construction, and it was signed by both David Farrell and Moshe Levy. Further review of the file indicated there was no record of any change orders. We went on to request documentation from the borrower as a contractor that might have indicated that there were approved change orders and received none. We also requested restitution again of the $21,321. A few months later, Mr. Farrell wrote, indicated that he was going to refinance his project and that he would reimburse the department the $21,321. And that's the last contact we had with the borrower or Guy Construction. We put a package together and submitted it to the city attorney for the appropriate action.
Mr. Hernandez?
I'll call for the question, Mr. President.
I think the city attorney had indicated that in the prudent course of action, we should allow Mr. Levy to respond to anything he would like to say at this point.
Mr. Levy, did you want to respond? Would you get the sound there, please? Go ahead, try.
Dave Farrell is the owner. I'm the contractor. The owner got the money, and he said he will reimburse the city the money. Basically, what we did a change order. So, Guy Construction did not take any money of this of the $21,000. Basically, we were the contractor. We've been the one who's just taking the money and giving it to the owner as a change order. The city inspector did not do his job, as I can see now. He's supposed to run the change order and change all these lines, but it's never been done. And the city inspector been found, with a non-respond guy by the housing, but that's not the point. The point is basically now, Guy Construction, I think, is responsible. We can do the job. We can do the things. We never took this money. And the owner wants to give the money back to the city. And he's willing to give the money back. That's what the last time I talked to him.
Anything else you want to say?
About the bond, no.
Does that satisfy the rebuttal?
I just will repeat that there were no records of any change orders in the file, nor was a request that we submitted to them responded to.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Levy. All right, Mr. Hernandez, did you want to be heard? No, Ms. Sikowski, I'll let you close.
Ferraro, I think the information that has been provided by the city agencies is sufficient to show that this is a non-responsible bidder, and I ask that the council rescind the contract that was awarded by the Recreation and Parks Commission and award the contract to Bagel Construction, which is the next highest bidder, a minor amount of money, more than the initial one.
Okay, we have...
Mr. President, the next vote then would be on the finding as recommended by the city attorney that the Mr. Levy's company is a non-responsible bidder, and after you make the necessary finding based on the staff's report, then you would take a vote to award it to the next lowest bidder.
Okay, prepare the roll on the first vote.
On the findings?
On the findings. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved.
Now, the next vote would be to award the bid to the next lowest bidder, Bagel Construction.
Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved.
Okay.
We'll send that forthwith. Now the 15.
Item 15, cards were submitted.
Peter Baxter.
Mr. President, members of your Honorable Council, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Peter Baxter. I live at 1319 Ingraham Street in Los Angeles. It is respectfully submitted that measures to protect against the loss of life and the destruction of property from flooding are the responsibility of the United States Army Corps of Engineers, primarily. power is not used by the United States Army Corps of Engineers to increase the rate of the flow of a river or a flood channel to drain floodwaters faster than that rate which is attained by the force of gravity. This is very strange. Floodwaters always drain over a period of hours, days, or weeks by the force of gravity. Why, it must be asked, is power not employed at the outlet of a flooded river or flood channel, as may be required to speed the flow of the flood waters to the sea? Turbojet engines are capable of producing up to 70,000 pounds of thrust by emitting 660 kilograms of air every second. No matter the volume of flood waters, a higher rate of flow to the sea may be induced by employing power, all of which is respectfully submitted. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Baxter. The public hearing is closed. Is there any discussion on this? Did you want to say something? Okay. Okay, prepare the roll on item number 15. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. We want to send that forthwith. The next item,
20, called special, a card was submitted.
we have Western States Corporation, George. Yeah, did you want to be heard?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. President, dear members. I took over the above subject matter property a year ago. It was an abandoned by the city property and the previous owners. I invested $157,000. I immediately had a big crew working 6 days a week, and they're working. I solved all of the problems. I pushed away the crime from the neighborhood. And at the same time, the city, through the RIP department, wants to take over the property. They want to put me in jail. And if they think that they can do a much better job than I did, I'm willing to sign over the property to them or to the city. I took the property over to help the people, to help the community, and I did so. I pulled out permits, as they requested recently, for the heaters, because that property is 98 years old. It's a historic old building. It was built without heaters and without bathrooms. Well, I took out the permits. I hired a contractor who had luncheon with our great mayor the previous Monday to discuss that problem, and I'm moving forwards. Of course, as you know, it took even God 7 days to build the earth and the universe. It takes time, and it takes a lot of money. I invested, as I said, a lot of money already. The property is losing $5,000 a week. I'm not giving up on these people. They are my people. They became my family. I love them, and I'll try my best to help them. Thank you, and God bless.
Okay, is there a tenants advocate? Does somebody else want to be heard on this?
That would be me.
What is your name?
Cymbidium Graham. It's a long one. First, I would like to say, on behalf of all of the tenants of the area, on behalf of the people of the area, I think our council member for the area is Mr. Savanich. So maybe he's the only one that understands our problems of the area. I can confirm that Mr. Panousis has invested and has had people there 6 days a week working. I can confirm that there has been a dramatic improvement over the context of time in which he has been there. I can confirm that there has been a full neighborhood change since he has been there. I can confirm that Until he came there, the city or the people that are actually popping up now did not care for the people there. I can confirm that there's a high drug problem, and if you let, and our concern is if you let what you're stating happen, that the people are going, that our property, that the people there, that we're going to be imposed on by IV drug users, heroin addicts, cocaine addicts, crack addicts. We're worried about this. Maybe nobody else is, but we are. I believe that there's going to come a time, and that also I believe that the historical ramifications of this property that is well over 100 years, I see a difference right now. Unfortunately, nobody has actually taken the time besides, as you can see when you're dealing with the government, and I consider you guys pretty much like kings of the olden days because you have the ability to change things. You have the ability to make a difference. I think that when you send your soldiers out and they do not take pride or in the rules or in the forces that you put forth, there's a lot of good work, there's a lot of emphasis here. But when it comes back to you, it seems all negative. We work 24 hours a day, me and the tenants and all of us together, kicking out drug users, getting rid of them every day. All I know is that if you send people in and they're biased, the last property owner had a heart attack. We're giving people hope. The people have hope. As a tenants advocate, we have a newsletter that comes out once a month. We talk about the changes that are going to be happening in the area. We're starting to post up signs all around the block for, all around the block to stop loiterers, to stop trespassers, to stop problems. We have over 3,000 different union workers, laborers, longshoremen, seamen, cannery workers that come to that area. But there is not one single good place for them to stay, except for the place that you're trying to affect, that nobody has really taken the time to see. Not one single person. Not if you consider sending a group of people out and they step only 5 feet in the property and they say that they made an inspection when all of us were there, when we cleaned up the property, when we made it look nice, when we, with our efforts, our everyday efforts, opened up our homes, and they only stepped 5 feet within the property and they call that a visitation. And you mean to tell me that that's right? No, it's not right. We have the government says that they have 10,000 new people coming to that area. Because I'm also on the board of minority business, new entrepreneurs. They said that they have over 10,000 new jobs coming to the area. 10,000. And you don't have a place for them to stay, yet and still you're going to destroy a historical property that has been there possibly since the early 1500s.
Okay. Thank you. I think the time is up.
Well, maybe so, but it's not right, President, sir. It really isn't.
Well, do you have something else you want to say?
I do.
Go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry. I just want more and better considerations to be taken in dealing with us, the tenants. I want our responses to be heard. I don't want to see the improvements and everything stop. And I know that through the REAP situation that it's going to be stabbed in the back. I know that a year ago the city owned the property and there was flood waters in the bottom of the basement, but the city didn't do anything to take care of it. I mean, I know that when the city had the property, it was, I mean, I'm not saying that you the people here, because you can't see, but I am saying that the people that are, that in the past it hasn't worked. Now it's working. We see a change. We see it growing. That's what I'd like to say. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. The public hearing is closed. Mr. Bernson, did you want to be heard on this?
I don't know what the circumstances are here. Unfortunately, Mr. Sfornich had to leave early, and this isn't his district. So I'm going to probably ask this be continued one day eventually. But I some things I want to say. First of all, I want to applaud the young lady for the emotion and the effort that she's obviously, her and the tenants have put in to their community in this building. I don't know what the circumstances are with this new owner, whether there's been enough time to affect the changes and so forth or not. I'm going to let you speak in a minute when I'm finished. I also would like to know what the status is of the 72-hour ordinance which was passed by this council. What is it? Yeah, we passed an ordinance that provides that if the repairs aren't made, essential repairs are not made by the owner within I believe it was a 48-hour period or 72-hour period, I think it was 48-hour period, that the city would do it and place a lien against the property. Now, I just wonder whether the housing department is following through on that. So you may want to comment. Number one, I'd like to know how long the owner has had the property. I'd like to know if he's made a good faith effort, in your opinion. Apparently he has, because the young lady is testifying that there's work going on. And third of all, I'd like to know what you're doing as far as enforcement on this issue or other issues where hot water or vital things that families need are not being taken care of in a 48-hour period. Are we following through and enforcing the ordinance, or is this just another ordinance that the city council passes that either the city attorney or the housing department or somebody ignores?
Would you respond on this, Mr. Bernson's question?
Yes, Mr. President. My name is Angel Calvin with the Department of Building and Safety. This particular building, we notified the owner back on January 28th of 1997 that if repairs were not made to the property, this property was going to be referred to the rent escrow account. We are now here in April of 98 trying to do exactly that. We do not have the time for me to be able to catalog all the shortcomings that we have out at that building. The property owner has pulled permits to do some heating work. The shortcomings out there include the gas lines, electrical wiring, health and safety violations, broken windows, broken doors. I can go on and on and on, pages and pages. Add to that, the building's an unreinforced masonry building that Division 89 says has to be retrofitted and hasn't been retrofitted.
Buildings that people are living in that has not complied with the ordinance, is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Well, members of the council, I think I still have a couple seconds left. This is more critical than even the windows and everything else. If we have a major earthquake, that building's coming down. So this is one of the buildings that we need to act immediately to get reinforced. That would be number one.
Mr. Alarcon?
I move the previous question to continue one day.
Did you want to say something?
Yes, excuse me. My name is Shirley Robinson from the Housing Department, the Rent Escrow Account Program. And I'd just like to state that the property has been out of compliance for years. And the owner has done some of the work, but all the work that has been done has been without permits, the proper permits. We have been speaking with the owner on numerous occasions. We've been in contact with the Building and Safety Department, and just yesterday, Inspector Scarron reported that the work is still out of the property is still out of compliance. The owner continues to refuse to get the proper permits, and most of all, the property was placed into the REAP program back in 1992 for seismic work that has not been completed.
Now, if it goes in the REAP program, would you explain what would happen?
Basically, the tenants are able to pay their rent into the escrow account until the owner makes the repairs. After the owner makes the repairs, the rent would be sent back to the owner.
Would the rents be used to improve the property?
No,
So he has to do it, and then he can.
there's an urgent repair program that's coming on board in the near future. We don't have staff at this time, but
We don't.
possibly something like that could help in the
But we don't
future.
want to.
But not at this
We
point,
want to
no.
deal with this time.
No.
Ms. Goldberg, you have the floor.
How many units are currently filled?
It's a total of 42 units on the property. I'm not sure how many are occupied.
And they have, the electricity is dangerous,
Plumbing, electricity,
the gas is dangerous.
yes.
I will tell you that in the past year, we've had in my office 2 fires that took the houses of members of my staff. Both were electrical, and one of them cost the lives of the 2 children of one of my staff members. So I want to tell you that they are living in unsafe environment. I wish we could red tag the building and force them into relocation, because if the earthquake don't get them, then either a fire or a gas explosion will. And this has been a terrible time for just 2 units that I know of personally, where people lost everything, and in one case, including their only 2 children's lives. I know that people believe that it could get worse, but believe me, couldn't get worse, but believe me, if you have electrical and gas problems, it could get a heck of a lot worse. The building could burn down or explode. Nonetheless, because the member of the council that represents the area is not present, I do think we should hold it over till tomorrow rather, and hear what he has to say, because it is his district. But otherwise, I would be inclined to vote immediately, because I just don't think we can let this continue and have on our conscience, God forbid, any of those terrible things could happen, then we took no action.
Ms. Galanter?
I think the question here is what's the quickest and most efficient way to get the repairs that have to be made? And the repairs that have to be made are obviously very extensive indeed. So part of, as I'm listening to both the landlord and the tenants talk about it, it sounds as if nobody wants this building in the REAP program, but clearly the building has enough things wrong with it that have been wrong with it for long enough that we've got to do, the city has got to do something. So the question, it seems to me, and maybe either or both of you can help me with this, is if we're not using the money that's in the escrow account, is the building in REAP now or not?
No, that's why we're here today, to place
To
it
put
into
it
the
in
program.
REAP. All right, so right now, the city's not collecting the rent, the landlord's collecting the rent.
That's correct.
All right. And Mr. Savornich is having lunch, and I envy him, I have to say. I would like lunch myself. But I really, I think this program, no, but if we vote to put it in REAP today, will you then collect the rent and get the repairs done? Or will you be having the same argument that you're having today with the landlord about which are the proper permits, and waiting for him to get the permits and get it done? Because the goal here is to get the repairs made.
Well, he has refused continuously. The REAP committee met in January, we held it over for another month.
Well, has the council office had anything to say about this in this time?
Well, at the last council meeting a week ago,
right,
Mr. Savornich stated that he would give 1 week continuance. He was in agreement with that, and that's today. And that was on record.
All right, so I'm going to move we put it in REAP.
Mr. Hernandez, the public hearing has been closed.
Mr. President, members of the council, my understanding from Mr. Savornich's office is that he also wants to go into REAP. I just wanted to state that I have a copy of a notice to the owners of management dated 1/28/97 talking about waterproofing problems at all units, plumbing and gas problems in all units, and electrical in all units. We also have a copy of an order to comply on the electrical, and almost every box is checked. We also have an order to comply in plumbing, and you need to know that almost every box is checked. In dealing with the issue of substandard housing, crumbling, loose, falling plaster, broken windows and doors, defective weathered exterior wall covering due to lack of paint and other approved protective coating, defective lack waterproofing, and so forth. But in regards to inadequate sanitation, you need to know almost every box is checked. It just goes on. And this is again from our city staff, and my understanding is staff was out there yesterday and they're still not in compliance. I want to point out that this was dated January of '97. Yeah.
Mr. Holden?
That was '97, a year later. On my time, ma'am, I've never seen the tenants come down here to complain about putting a property in REIT. They always say, put it in REIT. Oh, well, you're going to get a day continuance, so you bring them down here tomorrow where all those tenants can stand up and say, wait a minute, no, don't just talk. I'm telling you, say the work has been done. And you, sir, you had an opportunity to speak and you didn't speak. You did speak? Well, maybe I was listening to John. But the fact of the matter is that I think is one burden that you, how many stories is this building?
3 stories, sir.
3 stories. How many 3-story apartment buildings do we have in the city that should be retrofitted for earthquake preparedness? And that has not been cited.
That have not been cited?
Yeah, all of them have been cited?
Yes, sir.
And what percentage that are in compliance?
Most are in compliance.
The ones that are not in compliance, have you recommending a REIT program for them?
I would say yes, sir. They should be placed in
It should be, but it has not been done. The point I'm raising is this. We have a little building in my district where an earthquake requirement was required 12 years ago. The person ended up losing their business because they went on the line to do that. We have a church, Southern Missionary Baptist Church. They went and they did earthquake preparedness. It still went down. They're in debt for that and for the new church. You know, I think we have to, I would, if you say put this in the REIT program for earthquake preparedness, I would say no. Okay, it's a hardship that the landlord cannot absorb at this time, and we've done it for other people and given them help. We give them help all the time with these other big deals we put around here.
Well, sir, we're not saying that the building should be put into the REIT program just because it's URM and needs to be retrofitted. We're saying that it needs to be put into the REIT program because of this long catalog of violations.
I understand what you're saying, but the other landlord, he got sick, had a heart attack, he's gone. Now you got a new one. Okay? The fact of the matter is that, have we given him enough time to make these reviews? It's a year. This report is a year old. A year and 3 months. What's happened in the past year and 3 months? When were you out there last?
Well, last time was yesterday, sir.
And it still looks the same as this report?
Yes, sir.
No improvements?
Any work that was done without permits, and we have no way of verifying the quality of the work.
Well, then I don't know what you're talking about. I'll talk to Rudy, and I'll send somebody from my staff with Rudy's permission out there to take a look at the building tonight and see what we can talk about tomorrow.
Okay,
so because, I hear what you're saying without permits, but they get exemptions from that all the time when someone has done something wrong like that. But it's been right, but it's been wrong because the process was not
Okay, thank you, Mr.
complied
Holden.
with.
Mr. Bernson.
I'm not going to belabor this, but the big problem with this building is that it's probably not economically feasible to do all the work. And that's the problem. This building should have been red tagged a long time ago. This building should have been red tagged. It's not safe. It is a 3-story unreinforced building, and believe me, people will die in this building if there's an earthquake, which there will be. This owner knew that when he bought the building because it had to... Will you please be quiet? It has not been reinforced. Has this building been reinforced?
No, sir.
Sergeant, will you either escort him out of here or keep him quiet, one of the two? Is the building an unreinforced masonry building? Has the work been done?
No, sir, it has not been
It has not
retrofitted.
been done. The disclosure should have been made when he bought the building. He knew what he was buying. Unfortunately, maybe he didn't. But the point is, his feelings are irrelevant. What is important is the safety to the people who live in that building. And believe me, all the other things considered, this building is probably a good candidate for demolition and a new building. And the housing department, instead of doing this, ought to be using these funds or whatever they have to relocate the tenants into a safe building, because we are going to be liable, members of this council, I hope you're listening, we are going to be financially liable if something happens to injuries or death to people because we did not enforce the codes. This building, we'll hear what Rudy has to say tomorrow, but above all, this building should not go into REAP, it should be red tagged.
Galanter?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, the landlord was saying before that all the work's been done, and even if we put the building into REAP, if he can prove tomorrow that all the work's been done, it comes back out of REAP, so I don't see what the problem is.
Okay, anyone else want to be heard? If not, there's a motion to continue one day. There's no objections. That will, all right, prepare the roll on continuing one day. Tabulate the vote.
8 ayes, 4 noes.
Okay, that did pass, barely. Next item.
21 called special.
Mrs. Walters, you called 21 special? No, there's no card.
I think, Mr. President, we went through these where there was a difference in the Personnel Committee report and Budget and Finance.
No, we didn't. We didn't take 21.
You didn't take 21? No. All right. The Budget and Finance report was to instruct DOT to include the request for exemption from hiring freeze and backfill authority for one department, for one position of department personnel officer. And I believe that's it should be included in their 1998-99 budget. And I moved the Budget and Finance recommendation. This was a joint recommendation by both Mr. Fuhr and myself. So I moved that report.
Okay, anyone else want to be heard on it? Did you want to say something?
Department of Transportation. The department is requesting the unfreeze and backfill authority of this position in the 97-98 budget for a couple of key reasons. This is the top position of an operating department. The Department of Transportation is large with over 2,000 employees. The classifications cover traffic officers, communication operators, engineers, administrative, clerical. And basically, it's the department's position that it does not want to lose the 2 to 3 months that is involved in this process to fill the position. The position was recommended by Personnel Committee and the CAO. Currently, there is an exam in process. A list is anticipated by the end of May. The written part of the exam has been scored. We have contacted the Personnel Department, and they have stated to us that they would have a list no later than the end of May. For those reasons, the department is requesting the unfreeze and backfill authority now.
Okay. Mrs. Walters?
In committee, we determined that this could not be filled before July 1 or so close to July 1 that it could roll over until July 1. And that is the reason we took the action that we did. And I still stand by that action, that the department can wait until July 1 for this, and that is the report that I move.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Item 21, if not, prepare the roll on Mrs. Walter's motion. Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That is approved. Next item.
29 called special.
Mr. Holden called 29 special, I believe. Mr. Holden? That's showing respect. Press your button, will you, Mr. Holden, then I can clock you.
I did press my, okay, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
It's not working.
Mr. Wax, you're asking that on your moving clause that the CEO be instructed to meet with the Los Angeles Convention and Visitors Bureau and the San Fernando Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau and recommend
Yeah, well, she didn't have it.
an action plan that will guarantee funding for increased promotions of tourism in San Fernando Valley. Now, you telling them to guarantee it before they even meet. I mean, maybe it's not even feasible or reasonable. Wait a minute. Now, then, of course, then you'll have San Pedro doing that, guaranteeing, and you'll have the Mid-City, where I represent, guaranteeing that something be done. And how they propose to guarantee that this is going to happen if they, from the hotel tax. I think that what you're doing is you're starting the process of separation by this action. Because if you guarantee that a certain portion of the bed tax, which is earmarked to pay off the debt for the convention center that you cut the deal with to give $12 million for the arena, I mean, how is that going to be done? I mean, you can't have it both ways. You're going to give $12 million over here, plus the $70 million debt, plus the hotel tax to pay off the convention center, which we're in the debt now for about over $1 billion.
Send it to committee.
How are you going to do that? Damn right, send it to committee. I mean, this thing, you bet, we in the convention center bond is over $1 billion. How are you going to pay it off? Bed tax. I mean, this Mickey Mouse approach is trying to satisfy every little argument that's raised is wrong. I think it should go to committee, just like you say, Mr. President, so we can come up with some facts. This is the Rule 16. They must have put this in when you had your back turned. And your back is not the best place to look at. I like to look you straight in the eyes, as you said about my back. But if Joel, this should go to committee.
Meet, they're happy to sit down. They're going to come back to you with some recommendations. Then we can have our discussion. They know about this, and they're happy to sit down and come back to us.
Coming back to the council, number one?
Of course, they're going to come back with any...
Well, no. Number one, and number two, I'm going to do it for my district too. Where will it stop, Joel?
Fine.
Where will it stop? You starting something that you can't stop. This is precedent setting. You can run for
Mr. Wax, let Mr. Holden, he's about 30 seconds away from being through.
Not finished, but through. So, Mr. President, members, I agree with you, Mr. President. If you second the motion, Joe, it really should go to committee. You're opening up a barrel of worms here, and you can't put them all. You have too many to fish with already. So I'm going to move that it go to committee, and then we can deal with the whole city as a policy, not just one section.
Mr. Goldberg?
Yes, I think that if you took out the words funding for, we could vote on it today, because I don't think it necessarily takes funding. I did this with Hollywood and asked for increased attention to Hollywood, and I think that's really what it takes, is that we want to have all parts of the city, not just some parts of the city, promoted by the Convention Bureau. And so I would move the deletion of the words funding for, and ask them to come back with an action plan that will guarantee increased promotion of tourism in the San Fernando Valley. Because that's what you want. If you could get more dollars, frankly, in that direction, and it wouldn't necessarily lead to increased promotion, because they do certain brochures, and it's how they set up those brochures that make a difference, and what they include and what they don't include in them. That makes the difference. So I would move the deletion of the words funding for and have the motion go forward as amended, if I could get a second.
Mr. Hernandez?
I'm trying to figure out how to word this without thinking in terms of more than one city. You know, the reality is, if you look at where people stay, if you look at where hotels are at, if you look at how this money is being spent, what we have to promote is the word Los Angeles. I'll never forget the frustration I had when Northridge Little League won the World Series. It was like Northridge wasn't part of Los Angeles. And so I started talking about Little League becoming part of the inner city so that people would understand that Los Angeles has Little League. And the Convention Visitors Bureau, you need to know that I've had discussions with them as to why they don't promote Chinatown, why they don't promote Alvera Street, why don't they promote some of the inner city neighborhoods. And now we're talking about why don't they promote the San Fernando Valley. From my perspective, the Community Development Department oversees, or the Community Development Committee oversees the Convention Center. I don't have a problem in reviewing a marketing plan, but I think that they're using studies, they're talking to foreign guests of our city, and the reality is that I think they stay throughout the city. And I think that this motion is designed to get some attention. And the reality is maybe San Fernando feels it needs some attention. But they're not talking about the city of San Fernando. They're talking about the valley, one of many valleys the Los Angeles region has. So again, I'd like to hear from the experts as to how they feel the best way to promote our city is. And that's the reason why I think it should go through committee.
Mr. Bernson.
Well, here we go again. This is just another example of every time something comes up for the valley, we get kicked in the butt. Yeah, that's right, Nate. You too. You know, this was a simple motion that was not intended to create any problems. We pay our bed tax like everybody else. We pay our taxes. And basically, most of the promotions, virtually, I haven't seen anything promoting tourism in the San Fernando Valley as a result through the years. And I think, obviously, yes, Mr. Hernandez, we should be promoting Alvera Street and Pico Union and other areas. There's no question about it. But some of those areas spill over. When the convention center does, and also Chinatown, when people come here for a convention, they're downtown. One of the things that we've asked for, and Mr. Wax asked for, and I seconded his motion, is simply to try to do something to create a little more tourism for the valley. What is wrong with that? Okay?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, so obviously, Jackie, I can't support your motion, but I would like them to report back on how we can do this. Now, you know, we don't want to throw money away, I mean, obviously, and obviously, I would not object to a friendly amendment that would say, and other areas. You know, if you want to do that and say other areas and name them, that's fine with me. But the point is, this was specifically because there is a mountain range barrier between the two sides of the city. And we are the San Fernando Valley, by the way, not just the valley. It needs to have a little recognition of what takes place over there. We have hotels, we have restaurants, we have facilities, and we pay our taxes too. And we don't always get back services in regard to the amount of taxes we pay. So I would ask for a no vote on this, a yes vote on Mr. Wax's motion, and I would ask that we get a report and have the Convention Center and Visitors Bureau come back and tell us how they can do this, not just for the valley, San Fernando Valley, but also for other areas.
Universal City considered in the valley? Yeah. Well, then they advertise as Universal City, and so the Sportsman's Lodge also. So, Mr. Wax.
On my motion, ironically, Jackie, we first wrote it the way you said it. The goal, of course, is to increase promotion of tourism in the valley. But it seemed to me and that was actually the first draft. In writing it, it's pretty hard to do that without money. No, it's pretty hard, Ruth, to formally promote tourism without some money behind it. It just is. So, and there are two groups. We give all the money from the hotel tax goes to the Los Angeles Convention Visitors Bureau. There is a Valley Visitors and Convention Bureau who is also vying for that. It seemed to me that we put the two together with the staff and we work out a plan to accomplish exactly what you're talking about, which is increased tourism in the valley, which in fact has been neglected. A substantial amount of the money raised comes from hotels in the valley. A disproportionate of attention goes to the many sites that are in the valley. To correct that inequity, this seemed quite simple, and you'll have plenty of time to argue back and forth the plan they come up with after they come up with the plan. But they're prepared to sit down and talk rather than have a big contentious fight in the public. And this motion directs them with our staff, the CNO, to come up with something. So I would suggest that we not send it to committee, that we let them have their discussions and then bring back to us what their recommendations will be. Shouldn't be that complicated because we're not changing anything until some recommendations come. It may end up being exactly what you're contemplating, Ms. Goldberg, that they simply work out ways to give more attention to tourism in the valley. They may come up with some other. They may say, we'll contract with you to do some of this. We may come. I don't know. There's a lot of options for them to sit down with. Let them come back to us with a plan. This doesn't really need to go to committee now. If at some point you need it to go to committee, it might be after they come up with something, but at least direct them, and they're prepared to do this. They should not be this contentious, certainly at this point. So I would ask that we simply direct that and maybe have their recommendation come back through Mr. Hernandez's committee and then to the council.
I'm getting the strange feeling that you love this room. You don't want to leave. We have Mr. Galanter, Mr. Alarcon, Ms. Goldberg, Mr. Holden, Mr. Hernandez on this item. So, Ms. Galanter.
I am perfectly happy to agree that the Valley deserves more promotion, and I'm curious to know exactly what they're going to promote, which probably means it needs more promotion. But I do want to point out that the problem with the Convention and Visitors Bureau and the promotion of things in this city is a much bigger problem than the issue you've raised with respect to the Valley. If you read through their budget and you read through their promotional material, the City of Los Angeles supplies the great bulk of their funding, and yet the City of Los Angeles attractions and potential attractions receive a far smaller share of the attention than we provide of the budget. The Convention and Visitors Bureau, whenever I raise this with them at least once a year, says, oh, well, we're promoting the entire region. Well, obviously they are, but they're doing it with the City of Los Angeles's money. And so I would like to suggest, and I will leave it to the maker of the motion to think about how best to do this, but before we vote on the budget this year, when we will be asked to budget them a whole bunch more money, we ought to have this report, and perhaps we ought to have other reports. I am frankly tired of seeing our taxpayers' money spent to promote Beverly Hills or Anaheim or other perfectly worthy places that have plenty of money of their own. And the reason they have plenty of money is that they have surpluses because our residents and the visitors are going and shopping there. So they're getting all the sales tax and the business tax that is the reason we're paying the Convention and Visitors Bureau to promote our city. So I think that this is a problem that we ought to have this report back in time for the budget discussion, which is very soon upon us. And we ought to take a very close look at that budget item and see what we're really getting for the money that we're putting in and what other people are getting for our money that we're putting in.
Mr. Alarcon.
My comments are very much in line with Councilmember Galanter. The issue of tourism is, with regard to the Visitor and Convention Bureau, is not restricted to an issue of whether the San Fernando Valley is getting the respect and their dollar share of the services rendered by the Visitors Convention Bureau, but rather is the entire city of Los Angeles promoting itself in a way that is positive for the entire area of Los Angeles. And I think Mr. Wax would agree. I don't think we do enough to promote the harbor. I don't think we do enough to promote Hollywood. I don't think we do enough to promote the east side, the west side, the south side, as well as the San Fernando Valley. So I would rather have seen the Visitor and Convention Bureaus come up with a strategic plan that incorporates concepts that emerge from regional strategic planning committees that are reflective of the people of those areas, the San Fernando Valley being one, but certainly all areas of the city being represented on these strategic planning committees that have to be endorsed by the community. I would like this to go to the the committee to flesh out some other ideas besides the one that is promoted by Councilmember Wax, which I wholeheartedly support. Let me say one other thing. I think we are failing to recognize tourism for what it is. We quite often view it as the business connection, people visiting our tourist attractions. I happen to believe that tourism is the #1 industry in this city because people all over the world are coming here to visit their families. The fact is we have the most diverse city, I think, on the planet. And people are coming here because they want to see their families. And they choose to visit these members of their families because we happen to have a Universal City, or we happen to have a San Fernando Mission, or we happen to have beautiful beaches. But they're here to visit their family. Well, where do the families live? They don't live in the downtown center. Some of them do, but not all of them. I can't think of a block in my neighborhood that doesn't have visitors from their families coming once a year from someplace in this world. And so I think that we fail to develop a strategic plan, not around hotels, but around the families of Los Angeles who are promoting more industry, more tourism, because their families are coming to visit them, and we have absolutely no strategic plan recognizing that. I think we need to look at this from a broader concept, a broader context than the context from which the Visitors and Convention Bureau is looking at it. Clearly, if we can develop strategies to encourage people in the San Fernando Valley to have more extended relatives visit them, that's going to benefit the hotel industry, and they shouldn't be afraid of that.
Thank you.
So I encourage Wax's motion. I would like for the committee to reflect on some of these comments and delve into some of these broader issues, and I think we can come back with a much better product for the entire city of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Alarcon, the tourism is about the third most important industry in the city of Los Angeles, so it is a very big thing. And we'll call on Ms. Goldberg next.
Yes. You see, because I think what we want, and I want to go back to it, is we want to guarantee increased promotion of tourism in the San Fernando Valley and the harbor and throughout the city. Because here's the problem of saying you have to guarantee the funding. It isn't that I don't want to spend the money. It's that in having discussed this with them, when I tried to get them to do more about Hollywood, a key part of the city in terms of what tourists are already coming here for, they inform me that if they start doing regional bulletins, what happens is you get less coverage. You don't send them to as many people. Then you have to pick and choose which ones you send because there's only a finite number of dollars. I think what we really need to see, and as I was just saying to Councilmember Wax, I think what we really need to see is how these dollars are promoting Los Angeles venues throughout the city. You know, from Venice Beach to the harbor, to the Coliseum, to the San Fernando Valley, all of those places in Hollywood need to be promoted. And I do not believe we need to promote parts of the county of Los Angeles and Orange County, which are not a part of the city of Los Angeles with city of Los Angeles dollars. And that's the problem. It isn't more dollars or even separate dollars. I think separate dollars will lead to less people seeing it. But it has to change the content of what we're promoting to being Los Angeles if it's Los Angeles' taxpayers who are footing the bill. So that's the only reason I suggested we take out the word guaranteed funding, because they can guarantee you money. But if that doesn't change into guaranteeing promotion, increased promotion, then all you've done is spent dollars. It may make people feel good if they like to know where their dollars are going, but I'd much rather have the words guarantee increased promotion of tourism than guaranteed spending of dollars, because they can spend the dollars, I can promise you that. I'd much rather see that the goal be the goal and not the spending of dollars be the goal.
Mr. Holden?
Mr. President, I think that the time has come where we have to stop chasing headlines with motions. Rule 16. The fact of the matter is, we read in the paper the other day where a couple of residents of the valley saying, give us our share of the hotel tax and we'll use it ourselves. What is the share? The share that we're promoting Universal Studio? You're right. I think it's the first step to validating a divided city, and we need to stop it. At the same time, we still need to promote the valley. I have no problem with that, tourism. And I see no problem with giving more money to Universal Studios to promote them, although they have enough of their own. But when you start asking for a disproportionate share, it just there's no stop to it. I remember the MTA when we decided to build a metro rail there. They came in to RTD and demanded that they have a station at Universal Studios. We were discussing then benefit assessment districts, therefore, they would have to pay for their own. We put the station there, and then they came in and lobbied against, because they own more than 25% of the properties in the area, which means they could call for an election, lobbied against providing for a benefit assessment payment. Can you imagine a district, a benefit assessment district? Do you ever hear of such hypocrisy, Joel Wax? No, you haven't. So I'm saying there's so many things that are happening like an undercurrent where they're asking for more and paying less, so the difference comes out of the pocket of the taxpayers. We got to get some common sense to how we conduct business here in the city of Los Angeles. We can't do it by chasing a headline because some guy said, who's disgruntled, I want our share of the taxes, bed taxes, to stay in this area. That's what they said. And so after 2 days later, the motion is introduced. You guarantee that you get your share. Come on. If you're going to run for mayor, then run for the valley mayor. I'm not talking about you, Joe. I'm just talking about in general. I won't call any names. But the fact of the matter is, separate the city then, because I'm really getting tired of taking up the entire agenda, dividing it day by day, piece by piece, block by block. Tired of that. When we should be talking about the business of the city as a whole. If you want to separate, go and separate. And have 50 cities out there, Pacoima and the Studio City and all, the rich ones saying, I can't take care of the poor ones. You're going to have that all over again. Knock it off. Or just stay out there. We'll give you your city, Joe, and all you guys. And we'll have ours. Move the business. Move the previous question, Mr. President.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Well, the previous question on the entire matter, Mr. President, members of the council.
Okay. Prepare the roll on the previous question.
I hereby acknowledge that.
Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay. You judge the council properly.
Well today?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
have I taken note of the fact that they
Okay,
must like these new quarters?
We have what, what's the first motion?
Well, Mr. President, I think Councilman Hernandez asked that this be referred back to committee, but did he agree that the recommendations be submitted back through the committee as suggested by Councilmember Wax? All right. Then you have the amendment by Councilmember Goldberg, funding 4 be deleted, and that the recommendations be submitted back through the Community and Economic Development Committee prior to budget deliberations by the council.
Okay, prepare the roll on that motion. Tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 3 noes.
That is approved. Now we have the
29 is amended.
motion as amended. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Special one, Mr. President, there's urgency in getting this item approved today and sent to the mayor. This is a motion introduced this morning by Councilmember Chick, seconded by Councilman Fuhr. The necessary findings would have to be made prior to action, and the city attorney will review those with you.
Yes, thank you. This is a federal grant for the Arrest Grant Program. The Mayor's Office and the City Attorney's Office has been working together with the federal government. Originally, the federal government said that a letter would be okay to extend this grant. Late last week, they changed their mind. They said they needed an application. It is due in the hands of the federal government tomorrow. Therefore, the council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda, and there's an immediate need to act.
Okay. Prepare the roll on the findings. Tabulate the vote.
Oh, look at that ice cream. 12 ayes.
The matter is before us. Is there any discussion on this?
Just move it, Mr. President.
If not, prepare the roll on special one. Tabulate the vote. That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Item 31, called special, cards submitted.
Mr. Shapiro.
Mr. President and council members, item 31 concerns an information item that the City Council wants the Department of Public Works and Department of Water and Power to provide a great service to the citizens and explain to the citizens what all the charges that appear on their power and water bill are. And I think it's well taken. And I back this motion, and I think that people should be concerned. I think there's not too much question about the fact about electricity and water and sewer charge, although there's plenty of people who tell you that the sewer charge is not promoted correctly, that there's too many people who do not put sewage into the sewer system, and they are charged extremely high rates. The utility users tax, okay, that's nothing to talk about. Then we come to the sanitation charge. Sure, the average rate of about $6 or for people in their own homes and $4 for people in apartments and condos doesn't amount to much, but the people want to know what it's all about. And there's no harm in explaining to them that we wanted to get $180,000 trucks so that the drivers wouldn't strain their backs too much by loading it in the old-fashioned way. And they have individual loaders on it, so we paid $180,000 way back then. It's a lot more now. Then we also paid $80 million to get all kind of containers, black, blue, green. Now we're getting new ones. And all these containers add up to $6 a month for people. Now there's no reason why you shouldn't pass this motion and let the people know. I think it's a very good idea to let the people know about the tax and the amount of taxes they're paying.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. Okay, the item 31, is there any discussion on that? Any discussion? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
34, called special.
Mr. Holden, 34.
Separating the question, Mr. Deaton has a suggestion about approving the $275,000 transfer, but holding over until tomorrow the discussion on the purpose for which, the reason for which we're doing this.
Well, a discussion on the El Nino storms, et cetera, but to proceed with the appropriation, which would allow us to replenish the accounts and general services as a result of the storms earlier in the year.
And will you have the staff here for that tomorrow?
Yes, we will.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else want to be heard on this? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
35, special.
35, special. We have a card, Mr. Shapiro.
I think the City Council is doing a fine thing on item 35, which will indicate you're trying to get the Democratic National Convention where they nominate the President of the United States in the year 2000. And it's only going to cost $27 million approximately to get this. And you think you're going to be able to raise $27 million. You're going to try to raise $20 million from private sources. I hope you do. But I still favor this motion. Because inasmuch as you spend $550 million to $600 million on the convention center just to expand it, and then in the year 1996, the mayor said he didn't want the convention at that time, and you went right along with the mayor and you didn't do it. So why'd you build such a big convention center? You built the convention center so you could handle these big conventions, and that was the main reason they did it. They overspent too much on it, and the convention center is losing money. But here, you got a right idea. Sure, go for it. I don't think you should spend $27 million of taxpayers' money. I think you should get as much as you can from private sources. And I think the hotels and the ones who benefit from it primarily should be the greatest contributors. But I still say it's a great idea. Have this convention center, or try to get it here in the city of LA for the year 2000.
Any discussion on this item? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that item. Forthwith on 34 also. Next item.
38, called special.
Mr. Hernandez, you call 38 special?
Mr. President, members of the council, we just wanted to make sure that the CDD committee waived this particular proposal, and we recommend it, or the chair does recommend it. We want to make sure that the compliance with the public hearing provision of the request is held, because committee never held, in other words, the city council has never had a public hearing. And so that's what my question is. Should we call for a public hearing at this time? And if so, we could just proceed.
Is there anybody in the chamber who wants to be heard on 38? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any discussion on this? Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, this is a project in the 8th Council District. It was a dairy, a rather sizable one, in an industrial portion, Slauson and Western. First Class Foods is interested in acquiring it, and a lot of work has been done, both public and private, to make this happen. It has implications for as many as 200 new jobs in that rather large factory where they'll be processing food. I think what this suggests is something that I had hoped could be a citywide kind of policy. We should really take stock of, by way of redevelopment or economic development strategies, the number of underutilized industrial parks in our city, and see if we can't figure out a way to strategically create jobs there. This is but one example of how it could be done, how it should be done. I commend it to you for your unanimous vote.
Ms. Goldberg.
Ask a couple of questions, if I might. First, what is the amount of the revenue bonds? It's the amount that the company will be receiving?
We have somebody from the staff there.
What's the amount of money the company will be receiving from these bonds?
Reynold Blight Community Development Department, it's $3.75 million was the final amount.
$3.75 million. And that is to put with, how much investment are they actually making themselves?
I believe there's another more than $1 million. Don't know the exact amount,
Okay.
but it's substantial.
And how many jobs do we think will be created?
At least 127
Okay.
initially, and eventually we hope more than 200.
And what is the average pay on these jobs?
Average pay is around $7.50 an hour.
Okay. Does this company have a benefit package?
Yes, they have medical coverage and a variety of other benefits.
Thank you.
Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask, what will this count against the city's debt?
No, ma'am. There's no obligation of the city, no commitment by the city to repay these bonds. It's completely non-recourse to the city. There's a letter of credit from City National Bank backing up the company, and so City National Bank would be required to repay the bonds if the borrower failed to pay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anyone else want to be heard? If not,
I have a motion to adopt the CAO recommendations attached to the file.
Urge and I vote, Mr. President and members of the council.
okay, Mr. Ridley Thomas, prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
37A, Mr. President, was a scheduled closed session for today. However, there's been a request to continue it one day to tomorrow's meeting, the 15th.
There's no objections, that'll be the order, but we also have 37B.
Yes, you can hold that on the desk.
Okay, that's a closed session item, so we'll hold that on the desk.
Mr. President, for announcement.
Mr. Bernstein.
For those who are here waiting for the Planning Land Use Committee to meet, we will meet about 10 minutes following the adjournment of the council in the meeting room adjacent to the hallway.
Okay, the next item.
This is a time for comments from the public on non-agenda items.
Okay, Richard Robinson.
A neighborhood and excuse me, Mr. President. So you can shoot the sound system anytime you want, man. Mr. President, members of council, a neighborhood so am I. A neighborhood and a council. Oh, excuse me. Public speaking isn't my forte. Please bear with me while I attempt to give structure to a relatively disorganized mind. A neighborhood and a community are not the same demographic unit. Thank you.
Right here, make go down the aisle, and then make the left, and that's the second door on your left. No. And what was that?
I hardly heard that announcement. This is Leonard Shapiro. No, I don't have to have it that close. All right, Richard. I'd like to first congratulate the City Council. It's my first opportunity to congratulate you on your movement to these new quarters. And I'd like to congratulate you further on the way you set up your chairs. Can you imagine that? Me and the public, we can look at you right into your smiling faces instead of looking at your backs and your rear ends. I think that's a great improvement. And I also like the idea that you can have a bulletin board that we can read. I mean, almost can read. I like to have those letters made large so I can look at it. And nobody could tell me what item was being discussed. I like that number to be on there too. Instead of having exactly what it's written in so many small letters, you can do better. But still, it's a great improvement, and you're on the right track. I think that you passed today. You mentioned the fact that the mayor is holding a State of City address in Taft High School instead of Warner Center. I do not think the mayor should be encouraged to give a State of the City speech away from here. And you know I'm in favor of the City Council meeting as much as they can, at least once each week in the various districts. But the mayor shouldn't. And when he's out there, and you're going to run out there to listen to a speech, then you're going to come running back here, and you hope that everybody else will get caught in traffic, and you'll be back here and have a meeting at a reasonable time. I don't think it's the way to go. I don't think the mayor should be encouraged to have these meetings away from City Hall. That's what you got City Hall for. And he would like to come in here to these new chambers. One other point I'd like to raise. You were talking for 1 hour about signs. What are you going to do about illegal signs? And it's a funny thing. Nobody mentioned the fact that in the department, you can go up there and they'll give you a list of about 100 pages of violators that have been violating the law and have stayed there for the past 10 to 15 years. And they claim they can't enforce it. The city attorney won't lift his finger to do anything about it, and they can't find these people. They don't have enough people. So all they do is they make people violate the law, and then they let it go. Then asking you now for more people. I guess, is it more people to do something or more people to do nothing? But I think before anybody does anything about something as small as the signs, look at what you've been doing. Look at this big record of thousands of names of violators who have violated the law and continue to violate the law with impunity, and it encourages disrespect for the law, just like it does the policy of the police and the sheriff's department of allowing people who have bench warrants issued against them. 500,000 warrants issued for misdemeanors, and nobody goes out and tries to enforce them or to serve them. We've been trying to do it, even felonies. They only have served 1,600 felonies, about 17,000 are outstanding. This type of thing should not be encouraged. The law should be obeyed.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. We appreciate that very much. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, motions for posting and referral.
There's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, you have excuses on the desk. Councilmember Wax requests to be excused June 19th, 23rd, 24th, 26th, 30th, and July 1st for personal business. Meets council policy.
Can't hear it. There's nobody making a motion. Unanimous vote.
Mr. President, you have an excuse from Councilmember Savornich to be excused Friday, May 15th, to leave at 11:15. Personal business meets council policy.
Leave at 11:15.
Yes, Mr.
Can you
President.
guarantee that it'll be here by 11:15? Unanimous vote.
You have a request from Councilmember Ridley Thomas to be excused from on Tuesday, April 21st from the evening meeting. Motion required for city business. April 21st.
Members, that's down to 10, and I know you're all anxious to come out to Nate Holen's district and hear.
Oh, we may not have a quorum.
Yeah, you better, Nate, it's your responsibility to make sure you have a quorum.
I can cut down on the food that we
21st.
order.
What are you feeding? What kind of food?
Oh, we got Chinese food, and we have some tamales and kimchi. I mean, we're having just a lot of variations, and that represents the ethnic group in the district.
Is it?
We don't have any.
Is it catered by Chasen's or Spargo?
It's catered by Chasen's. Pretty good, huh? Now, may I comment, Mr. President?
Unanimous vote, Mr. Ridley Thomas. You're going to miss all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Next item.
You also have a request from Councilmember Fear to be excused on August 18th, 19th, and 21st for vacation meets council policy.
We do have a vacation period in there, you know. Unanimous vote.
Councilmember Alarcon requests to be excused Friday, April 17th. City business request meets council policy.
Unanimous vote.
And Councilmember Burnson requests to be excused Friday, April 17th. Personal business meets council policy.
Unanimous vote. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, you have closed session item.
Okay, would everyone please?
Mr. President?
Mr. Holden?
I'd just like to make an observation, a comment. They call that speaking to conditions of the file. And I'd like to give credit and acknowledge the fact that these facilities that we've enjoyed here today, well-designed, well-engineered, and all the staff people, general services who worked on it, I mean, they must be given some credit, even though there's some bugs, but not really compared to what
Now
you
quit
would.
talking about your colleagues now, Nate.
No. Oh, well, I think you should comment on it too, Mr. President. It's a job well done. I saw that clean room over there where they are televising. They're using the electronic equipment, and they also have a dehumidifier and the temperature control. I mean, they thought of just about everything. We come out, we speak, we push buttons, but what's going on behind the scenes is extraordinary, and we should give them credit for a job well done. One thing I want to say, they didn't elevate your position, but that'll be done eventually. Your location.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Your remarks are well taken, and I think it's true that when you consider the fact that this is a whole new operation, we did have some bugs in the computers today, but we're told that they'll be corrected. Hopefully, it won't be too long before we know how to operate this whole operation. So thank you very much, and certainly, Mr. Holden, was any input by your space engineering background?
Hard because that way we have a little peace.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I know Mr. Hernandez and Ms. Stokowski are complaining because there's closeness, but okay, we're going to go into executive session. All those not involved with the executive session, please leave the council chamber. Yes.
Former member of Henry Waxman's staff when he first got elected to the California State Assembly. Retired businessman in the community, and he passed away Sunday as a result of a heart attack. So we're going to adjourn in his memory. In fact, he's very prominent, even though you may not know who he is, some of you. So I think we should have all members on Jordan Daniels.
All members. Mrs. Waller's a co-maker. Mr. Wax?
I'd like the council to adjourn in the memory of Steve Smith. He was a really remarkable guy. He was the editorial director at KNX. He'd won all kinds of professional broadcasting awards locally and nationally. He was the president of the Gay Men's Chorus, and he died at a young age of 38 of AIDS, and I'll give the clerk the pertinent information.
Okay, Ms. Goldberg is a co-maker.
I didn't know that he
Mr.
died.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez. All right, call the roll. Aye, the council is adjourned.